Pleasant good morning, everybody. Welcome to Breakfast with Roger and Friends on this beautiful Thursday morning, the 6th day of August. And so happy to Gene Sidler and his bride, Becky, are continuing to enjoy the mountains of Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And happily, we can say sitting in for Dr. Sidler is John Disharoon once again. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Roger.
Yeah. You know, as a former Caterpillar executive, do you follow the stock market real closely about the price of Caterpillar, or you just let it do what it's going to do?
Every day?
Every day, yeah.
I'm addicted to the stock market.
Yeah. You know, in talking to Bob Manning, who is my broker, he indicated that there are people who are, what do they call them, day traders, that every day, and boy, would Caterpillar be a fun time, because Caterpillar soared to over $1,000 a share. I should have sold it then. And now I wrote it down somewhere. It's in the 800s. And he indicated to me that there are people that each day buy and or sell their Caterpillar stock, because it does seem to sometimes back off. But most of the time it's been going up, and lately it, I won't say it's been struggling, but I think it gained a little bit yesterday, did it not?
Yeah, I mean, it closed at $871 a share, so anybody that thinks it's struggling
Yes, is not struggling.
Yeah.
Well, but you know, after being at 1,000 and then dropping down into 800, I think it didn't even get into the high 700s as one of its lowest points. So that's what I'm referring to as a struggle. But you're right. When you buy stock at maybe $120 and it gets up to $800, it's not struggling. I agree.
And the crazy thing is, you know, the results came out on Tuesday, and it was up $100 pre-market.
Oh, you're kidding.
Because they, you know, the whisper number was that it was going to be very good, and so pre-market trading, it was up over $100, which is just incredible.
That is good.
And
now, what do you mean by whispering? What the whispers were?
So the whisper numbers is, so the analysts on Wall Street talk about, you know, they call the dealers and see how inventories are. They talk to customers and see how long the wait is for big machines and power generations, and then they sit back on the back of an envelope and figure out what it's going to be. And the consensus with all the analysts out there was that it was going to be a very good quarter. And so the whisper number was, the results were better than the whisper number, but the whisper number pushed it up. So pre-market before the results came out, it was up $100 a share.
Do they actually whisper? They say, psst, psst. Have you heard Caterpillar's going to have a great quarter?
They call it whisper because nobody's talking about it on air, right? Because they don't want to speculate and spook people. But it was funny when we used to talk to the analysts. They would say, well, you know, the whisper number is, and we're like, who's whisper?
yeah, who's whispering to who? Well, apparently Nancy Pelosi's husband was doing some whispering too, because they really pocketed a lot of money during her tenure as Speaker of the House. And
that's a little bit different. That is just outright fraud, because they have insider
Oh,
information.
you bet they do.
And they know which companies come before them and which ones are going to get approval, and it's not a whisper. They have inside information, and it's wrong.
Yeah, and the number isn't wrong, but what they do is
what they do with
wrong.
it is wrong.
Yeah, it is. Did they finally pass legislation that was long overdue, that members of Congress cannot buy and sell stock during their tenure?
Well, they did, but there's really no teeth to it. They're supposed to put it in a blind trust, but the blind trust is run by their kids and their advisors, and so they just have.
And they're not blind.
Buy Oracle. You know, sell Cat, buy Deere.
Yeah, and they know what's going on in the economy, and they know what's going on with the insider trading, I guess you would say. You know, I remember years ago, and maybe neither one of you are old enough to recall what I recall because of my age, but there was a place in downtown Peoria. I want to say First Federal Savings and Loan Association, but it might have been a place on North Madison where some people of high stature, income-wise, politically wise, would go and sit and have a cup of coffee, or I don't know whether they served drinks or not, and they had a electronic board that was running across the wall showing what Wall Street was doing.
The
Do you
ticker tape.
remember?
Yeah. We
You
talked
remember
about
where
this.
that
I
was?
think it was Smith Barney. It was part of the Sears Financial Network at the time, and it was on, I want to say Adams over there by where Sully's used to be, because I had a broker who worked at Smith Barney and turned into Morgan Stanley, and they all had their headsets on and the ticker tape across there, and I was like, gosh, I work at Caterpillar, I don't have this.
Yeah.
And then, once the internet came around in the late, I guess the early 90s, everybody could get the ticker tape running across the bottom of their computer screen.
Yeah.
And then CNBC came out and MSNBC and all those guys, and you could actually watch the trades go out. It was more than just.
I was fascinated by it for a couple of reasons. It was unusual to see it, and I didn't always know what information it was and who were the big players and who were the small players. And the other fascination is I didn't have the money to buy a stock here or a share there or whatever the case may be.
Well, and remember, Roger, during those days, the 5 minutes of every newscast in the morning was the price of hogs and cows.
You're right.
pork bellies.
Yeah,
Pork
the
bellies.
pork bellies, yeah. And to this day, I still don't know what a pork belly is.
And I think Peoria processed more hogs than any place else in the Midwest.
Oh, yes,
right there on
right.
the south side. And so
Armour and Company was a big player in that neighborhood.
they're like, pork bellies are up 10 cents, and
yeah.
farmers would freak out and sell their trucks, and it's down 8 cents, and they'd buy a house.
Yeah, that was a big deal. I had a dear friend, Chuck Ledgerwood was his name, and he worked for Armour and Company and started at the Armour plant on South Washington Street. He wound up as a top official with Armour and Company, and he relocated eventually, I believe, to Phoenix, Arizona. And he told me an interesting story, and I know we have time for it this morning because I can see by the clock tower it's getting late. But at any rate, they asked him, Armour had received a threat of poisoning their meat, and they thought it was from a former employer or whatever, but he demanded a ransom. And they, is one of the top officials with the company, called him into the office and said, we're having trouble with ransom demand, and we want you to be the transfer agent, you might say, to carry the money to wherever this guy is demanding. And they wired him up in a hotel, the FBI did, with a microphone and all this other stuff, whatever that was. And I said, were you nervous? He says, yes, I was nervous, but he said, I did anyway. He had plenty of guts to do things. So, at any rate, he told the story how the ransom demand told Armour, have the guy with the satchel of the money go to the public phone in the emergency department at a hospital in, I think it was Paradise Valley, outside of Phoenix, and wait for a call. And the phone rang, and he answered it, and the caller told him to take the satchel to a nearby park, and leave it on the park bench. And he said, I'll be watching, and so nobody told him. So he did. He went and he dropped the satchel off and left the scene. And that basically is the end of the story, except the person who demanded the ransom never showed up to take the satchel. I think he was afraid that they were watching, which they were.
Yeah, FBI was ready to pounce.
Yeah. And I said, did you get a bonus for doing that? He said, no, the bonus was I got out alive without having any trouble. At any rate, we'll bring you up to date with the real news, the current news, as we do each and every morning on WAZU. Our news this morning brought to you by Spoon River Home Health, great people bridging the gap between hospital and home with skilled nurses, therapists, and personal care assistants. They've been around helping people since 1993. Quality care by quality healthcare professionals, and they're available 24/7 to take care of your loved one. And you can reach them for more details at 309-245-0723. The National Weather Bureau is calling for possible scattered, patchy fog this morning. Did you have any fog? I had none coming from Morton.
No fog
So,
from Cuba.
I don't think so. Okay. And gradual clearing, becoming sunny today with a high of 81. Some clouds tonight with a low of 68. Tomorrow, partly sunny. We're up to 86. Showers tomorrow night with a low of 70. And looking ahead to Saturday, sunny and 86. Right now, 69 degrees. Our humidity at 92%. Now the news. Terry Chamberlain, what do you have?
A fire during the noon hour yesterday at a garage and duplex in the 7,000 block of North Charles Way, that's in the area of Holly Hill subdivision, caused $780,000 damage and minor injuries to a Peoria firefighter. Cause of the blaze was deemed accidental.
There is a report that the new chief financial officer for Peoria School District is going to resign. Dr. Michael Curry, he's brand new to the staff there, was given a 3-year contract last February with an annual salary of $210,000. He previously was chief school business officer for the Decatur School District. We're going to talk with newly elected school board member Andy Diaz about that report and some other school issues, 7:30 this morning, so stay tuned. I can't imagine. The guy just got hired in February, and we have a new superintendent, and there is some unrest. As you know, they've had some very contentious school board
meetings, yeah.
And he may say, you know, I've gone from the frying pan into the fire. I want no part of it. How many people get up and leave a $210,000 salary?
Well, he told them there was issues, and I don't think they were listening to him.
Yeah.
Apparently not. We've been exclusively reporting that Illinois will become the 13th state to allow people to kill themselves beginning September 12th. Governor J.B. Pritzker signed the measure officially called physician-assisted suicide. The governor ignored objections from the Illinois State Medical Society against the procedure. Among the objectors is Illinois State Representative Bill Hauter. Hauter is a practicing physician specializing in emergency medicine and anesthesiology, who strongly believes the procedure is a violation of a physician's oath to first do no harm. Dr. Hauter of Morton joined us at 8:15 this morning.
The Peoria Council voted 4-0 to raise the salary for the city's mayor, who also serves as city administrator. Mayor John Call abstained from the vote due to an obvious conflict of interest restriction. The new salary, $128,733, doesn't become effective, however, until May of next year. His current salary is $104,735.
Officials in Canton had a bomb scare this week and called for help from the Peoria Police Department. Peoria responded with a bomb squad, and the professionals neutralized what was described as an explosive device in a vehicle. Owner of the vehicle, 40-year-old Benjamin Linkenfelter of Farmington, was questioned by police, but no other details were provided. A search of Linkenfelter's home in Farmington produced no bomb-making materials, said authorities.
Chillicothe police say a 4-month-long drug investigation has resulted in the arrest of 2 women. They've been identified as 47-year-old Catherine Ackley and 43-year-old Melissa Dow. Police conducted a raid at a house in Chillicothe where they found all kinds of drugs and drug materials, along with a stun gun.
In national news, President Trump is claiming the U.S. and Iran are close to reaching an agreement to end the war. We've heard that before.
Yes, we have.
Wall Street remains optimistic with another record-breaking day for the Dow, reaching 54,349. This marked the 3rd consecutive day of record closes for the Dow.
There's a growing divide for the time in the Democrat Party as radicals won a number of elections in Democrat primaries. Socialist Bernie Sanders praised victories by such as Michigan's Abdul El-Saad for the U.S. Senate. Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman took a different position. He thinks the socialist communists should start their own party rather than hijack the Democrat Party.
Another shooting event in the country. 4 people were shot, 3 fatally, at a reported domestic family dispute in Prospect Hill, North Carolina. One of the dead is the gunman.
And Anthony Fauci will earn his legal future perhaps today. The Senate committee, headed by Rand Paul, will vote on whether to hold him in contempt for abstaining or invoking his rights 111 times. That may be a record.
rights that really don't exist because
That's
he
what
was
they're saying.
exonerated.
Yeah. It is a strange set of circumstances. Anyway, let's find out what is on the minds of our friends at WCBU. And it's brought to you by Realtor Kathy Reynolds of HomeSmart, now listing a beautiful 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo in the city with an unbelievable view of the countryside from a gorgeous living room. This home has a beautiful kitchen, adjoining dining room, plus other amenities. Get all the exciting details from Kathy Reynolds of HomeSmart at 309-696-2162.
From the WCBU newsroom, I'm Colleen Holden. East Peoria is going to keep most of its newly acquired property on the north side as an operating farm for at least the next year. The City Council has approved a lease with Yorty & Sons to have them continue farming about 210 of the 270 acres along Centennial Drive. Commissioner Mark Hill says it's a rollover lease that gives East Peoria flexibility down the road.
So it'll give us the opportunity as each year, if we're ready for some development, or we would have that ability with this type of land rent.
Hill says the city's intent in buying the property is to have control over future development. Illinoisans with home and auto insurance will see more protections against unjustified rate hikes. Laws newly signed by Governor J.B. Pritzker require insurance companies to justify increasing costs and allows the State Department of Insurance to object to rates that are excessive.
When corporations honor those values of treating their workers and their customers fairly, government should be a willing and able partner. When they don't live up to those values, government has an obligation to step in and impose fairness.
The laws also prevent insurers from increasing costs to cover losses from out-of-state natural disasters. New software invented by Peoria nurses helps keep patients with medical implants safe during surgery. CEO Jim Weldy says the software is called DeviceWise. It organizes all critical information about the many types of medical implants. This helps nurses plan ahead for surgery.
Keep patients safe. That's what we're all about. We're all patient safety geeks in this company.
Yeah.
That's how we roll.
Weldy credits DeviceWise with reducing the surgery cancel rate at OSF St. Francis in Peoria from 12% to 2%. And the American Pickers are looking for historical, rare, and unique items in Peoria. The reality television show follows restoration master Mike Wolf and his team of pickers who sift through private collections and junk piles in search of untapped potential. Filming is scheduled to take place in Illinois and Iowa this September. Anyone with unique stories and items are invited to contact the show for consideration. I'm Colleen Holden.
With all the latest. John, good morning to you.
Good morning, Roger. Last night in Las Vegas, Lucas Jumelan, 22-year-old professional poker playing from Spokane, Washington, finished a wire-to-wire performance to win the 2026 World Series of Poker main event and $10 million.
Wow. And they're playing poker, not blackjack.
Correct. It's Texas Hold'em poker. He shoved. He went all in on King 6. He was head-to-head. His opponent had Ace-7, so the opponent obviously called. He flopped a 6 and turned a 6 to lock it up with trips for $10 million. 22 years old, and he's the second youngest player in the World Series of Poker history.
Can
exciting
you
to
imagine
watch.
putting down the resume? What did you do? I played poker. Next. And until they say.
Net worth,
Yeah.
$10 million.
Yeah.
That does it. In Chicago, Pete Crow Armstrong homered twice and drove in 4 runs as the Chicago Cubs swept Shohei Ohtani and the struggling Los Angeles Dodgers with a wild 7-6 victory on Wednesday night. What a ball game. Nico Horner added 3 hits as Chicago won for the 4th time in 5 games. The Cubs also improved to 32-15 since June 11th, strengthening their hold on the top spot in the National League wildcard standings. Los Angeles was swept for the 2nd straight series. The 2-time defending World Series champions have dropped 6 in a row for the first time since a 7-game skid in July of 2025. Ohtani went deep twice for the National League West leading Dodgers, and Max Muncy connected for a 3-run homer in a 5-run 8th inning. Mookie Betts had 4 hits after he batted just 167 in his previous 25 games. So Pete Crow Armstrong had 2 homers. Ohtani had 2 homers. It was 7-6 in the bottom of the 9th. Just a tremendous game as the Cubs swept the Dodgers. In New York, J.J. Weatherholt hit a 2-run double and scored on Ivan Herrera's ground rule double to help Andre Palante and the St. Louis Cardinals beat the punchless New York Yankees 3-1 on Wednesday night. St. Louis took 2 of the 3 games at Yankee Stadium to win that series for the first time since going 2-1 against Atlanta from July 10 to 12. New York fell 4.5 games behind first-place Tampa Bay in the American League East. In Boston, Wilyer Abreu homered for the 4th time in 3 games. Sonny Gray struck out 8 and 6 innings for his 14th win, and the surging Boston Red Sox beat the Chicago White Sox 4-0 on Wednesday night. Boston has won 7 straight, tied with Atlanta for the longest active streak in the majors, and has won 25 of 28. Man, what a tear. The Red Sox have also won 9 consecutive series, the second longest streak in franchise history, behind an 11-series run back in 1912. Gray allowed 3 hits and walked 2, moving into a tie with Philadelphia's Christopher Sanchez for the major league lead in victories. Wilson Contreras, former Cub, had an RBI single in the first inning that brought Abreu in from second. Chicago threatened to tie it in the third. Miguel Vargas reached on an infield single to third baseman Caleb Durbin. First baseman Contreras fielded the throw off the bag and then threw to the plate, where catcher Connor Wong tagged San Anatochi for the 3rd out. Pittsburgh took a beating from Milwaukee. Kyle Harrison struck out the final 8 batters he faced, and William Contreras homered, and the Milwaukee Brewers beat the Pirates 4-2. Harrison gave up 1 hit and 1 walk while striking out 10 in 5 innings in his first start since July 8 after an IL stint due to a left forearm tightness. It was the 4th time this season and 6th time in his career that he reached double-digit strikeouts. Tough to do in today's baseball stories. In other Major League action, the Blue Jays 5-4 over the Astros, the Rangers 6-0 over the Giants, and the Rays 4-0 over the Rockies. The Orioles beat the Angels 5-2. The Reds 3-2 over the Athletics. The Mets 6-5 over the Guardians. The Nationals 10-4 over the Phillies, and the Braves beat the Marlins 4-1. Kansas City 2-1 over the Twins. The Mariners 4-2 over the Tigers, and the Diamondbacks just trounced the Padres 10-4. And that's a wrap-up of our sports on this beautiful day.
Yeah, it is a beautiful morning. And we mentioned earlier that the National Weather Bureau was calling for scattered or patchy fog and maybe some showers. But did we get any rain overnight, or did we get any rain yesterday? It seems like...
Oh, I got rain yesterday at my house.
Yeah.
We had almost 2 inches at Weematuck. We had a nice steady...
Oh, you're kidding.
From 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, it was just a steady rain.
You know, we were talking earlier this week about detasseling. Is this the time of the year they detassel? The reason I asked that, I stopped at Casey's and got some donuts this morning, and there was a bus in the getting gas, and there were I would say 5 to 6 people from Mexico, young men, young boys, and I thought, I wonder if these are guys who are going to be detasseling. Are you well enough informed agriculturally to know what the period of time is for detasseling? I thought it had come and gone.
No, I think it's now, because you can see the stems on the top of the corn are waving in the field. So
okay.
The goldenrod is up. So I think it's probably time to detassel.
Yeah.
It's amazing they still do that manually, though. Haven't they got a genetic corn that doesn't need to be detasseled?
I don't know. I know they have newer equipment to help in the process, but apparently they still have young men and young girls, because we talked
I knew girls that used
about
to do it. Yep.
people. Kathy has done some detasseling and given horror stories about what it's like to detassel, about getting like razor burns on your hands from the corn, or the detassel, or the tassel, or whatever they call it, and how hot and
Ticks
sometimes
and mosquitoes
yeah,
and
the bugs
spiders.
and everything. She still has a bug phobia today as a result of working in.
imagine why.
Well, I'm not saying I'm not free from that as well. You know, one of the things that just haunt me every night is every now and then a fly will get in and will buzz around, and I cannot go to, but I did last night because I was tired. They just irritate you. and like I'll be in the bathroom brushing my teeth, and they're attracted by lights. So I get done turning out the light in the bathroom. Well, the light of the TV is on, and you'll see him dive bombing around, like looking for a landing strip. And then he wound up in the kitchen, and I stumbled on him. He was on the side of a cup that had water in it, and I had my fly swatter. So do you? Well, I did.
Add a little
Yeah,
protein to your water?
Yeah, and I didn't do it. I kind of shooed him away, and he disappeared into the dark of the house at that particular point. But I usually can't go to bed until I eliminate that creature. But last night, as I said, and I saw him on the screen before I shut off, make a couple of passes, and I could hear him saying, yeah.
No, I'll chase them down. Only good bugs are dead bugs, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, you get bugged by bugs.
Yep.
No question. You know, we're going to catch up with the news in just a moment. You actually went to Peoria High School. Did I hear you say that?
Correct, yes.
And was Phil Salzer one of your teachers
He was.
at that time?
He was. He
Yeah.
taught what we call, it was enriched history. And,
Enriched history.
or advanced history, whatever it was. He taught the folks that actually wanted to learn something about history.
Yeah.
Great history teacher. I had two terrific history teachers in my academic career. One was Fred Sodi at ICC, just a phenomenal history teacher, and Phil Salzer. Phil has forgotten more about history than most people ever
Yeah.
learned.
Yeah, every now and then he'll let me know about something I said historically that was inaccurate, for that matter. Interestingly, my favorite teacher at Woodruff High School was a history teacher, Earl Skaggs. And I loved the man. He had a great sense of humor. And I liked him so much that I took whatever he had on his agenda academically, including a study hall. He had a study hall, so I took that study hall just to be a part of his life. And he directed a stage show, Cheaper by the Dozen, and I signed up to be in, and I was a little short, fat kid, so I was the little kid in the show, Cheaper by the Dozen. And I recall very fondly the night of the performance, I did a little ad-libbing that I had not done, and got a lot of laughs from the audience with my actions and so forth. So when the show was over, the leading actor for the production, and actors, I should say, came over and said, "You never did any of that stuff in rehearsal." I said, "I had to hear the roar of the crowd."
I'll give you my best Phil Salzer impression. Gentlemen, Johnny Burgoyne, the Battle of Saratoga. Discuss.
I hope Phil's listening. He might be sawing logs at this time, but at any rate, let's get into the news and bring you up to date. And our news at the bottom of the hour is presented by Matt Wall, certified public accountant and tax specialist with Gordon Stockman & Wall. He's a graduate of Bradley University, also of DePaul up in Chicago, and Matt provides a broad range of accounting, auditing, management consulting, and income tax planning. He's a specialist. You can reach him today at 309-692-4030. Terry has our headlines.
A fire during the noon hour yesterday at a garage and duplex in the 7,000 block of North Charles Way, that's in the area of Holly Hill subdivision, caused $780,000 damage and minor injuries to a Peoria firefighter. Cause of the blaze was deemed accidental. There is a report that the new chief financial officer for the Peoria School District is going to resign. Dr. Michael Curry was given a 3-year contract in February with an annual salary of $210,000. He previously was chief school business officer for the Decatur School District. We'll talk with newly elected school board member Andy Diaz about that report and other school issues at 7:30 this morning. We've been exclusively reporting that Illinois will become the 13th state to allow people to kill themselves beginning September 12th. Governor J.B. Pritzker signed the measure officially called physician-assisted suicide. The governor ignored objections from the Illinois State Medical Society. Among the objectors is Illinois State Representative Bill Hauter. Hauter is a practicing physician specializing in emergency medicine and anesthesiology, who strongly believes the procedure is a violation of a physician's oath to first do no harm. Dr. Howard Morton joins us at 8:15 this morning. The East Peoria Council voted 4-0 to raise the salary for the city's mayor, who also serves as city administrator. Mayor John Call did not vote due to conflict of interest provisions. The new salary, $128,733, does not become effective until May of next year. He currently earns $104,735. Officials in Canton had a bomb scare this week and called for help from the Peoria Police Department. Peoria responded with a bomb squad, and the professionals neutralized what was described as an explosive device in a vehicle. Owner of the vehicle, 40-year-old Benjamin Lingenfelter of Farmington, was questioned by police, but no other details were provided. A search of Lingenfelter's home in Farmington produced no bomb-making materials, said authorities. Chillicothe police say a 4-month-long drug investigation has resulted in the arrest of 2 women. They've been identified as 47-year-old Catherine Ackley and 43-year-old Melissa Dowell. Police conducted a raid at a house in Chillicothe where they found all kinds of drugs and drug materials, along with a stun gun. In national news, President Trump is claiming the U.S. and Iran are close to reaching an agreement to end the war. Wall Street remains optimistic with another record-breaking day for the Dow, reaching 54,349. This marked the 3rd consecutive day of record closes for the Dow. And sadly, another shooting event in the country. 4 people were shot, 3 fatally, after a reported domestic family dispute in Prospect Hill, North Carolina. One of the dead is the gunman. And those are the headlines, Roger.
All right, now check the weather this morning, presented by Kyle Varnold of Fortner Insurance. Kyle knows insurance. He can provide you with a competitive quote or two for auto homeowners' life and health. Don't renew your insurance without first talking to Kyle. He can help you at 309-682-0519. John has our weather.
Mostly cloudy today, starting with scattered fog and possible morning showers. Gradual clearing, becoming sunny, high about 81. Tonight, some clouds, low about 68. Tomorrow, it's going to be partly sunny with a high of 86. Showers tomorrow night, low of 70. Saturday, sunny and high of 86. Currently, 70 degrees at the radio station.
6:33 is our time, and welcome to Breakfast with Roger and Friends on WAZU FM 90.7, and also on YouTube at Roger and Friends LS, as in live streaming. You know, the thought occurred to me, John. I know you know a little bit about guns and weapons and so forth. Do the same laws apply to purchase of a stun gun as they do to a 38 or a 32 or a shotgun, or do you know?
It kind of depends on where you are. If you're in the city of Chicago or Washington, D.C., those are all considered weapons. If you're in Louisville, Kentucky, it's not.
Interesting.
Chicago and Washington also regulate bear spray and mace and batons and nunchucks, anything but a baseball bat. That's probably what they ought to regulate, to be honest with you.
Isn't it true that Chicago has more gun laws than just about any city in the world, and yet they have among the highest homicide rates and crime rates of any city in the world? They're not number one, but they're in the running
close.
for it.
Per population, they are number one. I think Washington, D.C., and maybe Baltimore are higher.
St. Louis is quite high. They may be number one.
And the reason for that is simple. Criminals don't abide by laws.
Yeah, they don't register, do they?
No.
Except to vote.
Yeah, and they don't even have to register for that. They just got to show up.
No, you're right. It's something else I wanted you to do, because I know technologically you and Terry are far above my pay grade about data centers. Interestingly, the debate continues, and it's amazing when you see some of the demonstrations, who the people are demonstrating against data centers. But I was really surprised the governor of the state of Texas announced a moratorium on development of data center. Kind of explain, if you would, for our audience, and particularly for yours truly, what's so evil about data centers that I know they eat up electricity and they require significant infrastructure development, et cetera. and so forth. But those factors alone justify saying no data center in my neighborhood?
No, I mean, it's kind of this not in my backyard. Actually, Texas said the door's open for data centers. I don't know.
I think Governor Abbott just indicated that they're putting a hold on it for continued discussion. Are you sure you're up to date on that? Because I swear I saw that on, I don't like to swear, but I did on TV last
so
night.
it's confusing because they might have put a moratorium on there, but he said that they're open for it because some states have actually banned them. So I think they're going to put some rules in place for it. But it really is a bunch of hype about nothing, Roger. It first of all, it creates construction jobs. They're short-lived, but you got to build things, right? They do consume an awful lot of electricity, but it stabilizes the grid. They pay for it. Your rates aren't going up. My rates aren't going up for
But
it.
they claim they are, though.
Well,
they
it's
said
just,
you're taking my electricity.
yeah. Well, they're wrong. Just like any other consumer of electricity, they're going to have to pay for it. And in fact, in areas where there isn't a lot of rural areas where there isn't a lot of steady power and the rates go up and down because they can't purchase in bulk, it could actually stabilize the electricity rates for farmers in small communities because they can buy in bulk and therefore pass that savings on to the individual consumer. There's some talk about water.
That's right. That's one of their strong arguments is that you're taking away the what do you call the water? The aquifer.
Yeah, well, just like a car or a hospital, you do consume some water, but how often do you put water in your car? You put additives, you put coolant in there, it recircles, it recycles, you've got fans, you've got cooling systems. These are very high technologically advanced operations that have cooling systems that will require water to get going, but after that, other than dissipation, they'll add coolants in there and essentially put the water back. Because there'll be condensation from the heat that it takes out for the humidity. So I think it's a bunch to do about nothing. People just want to be against something. But if you look at the facts, yes, they're going to be voracious consumers of electricity, but so are hospitals. Yes, they're going to consume some water, but so do hospitals and car dealerships and park districts and homes and ponds. It might take up some farmland because they don't want to be in cities, right, where they have to compete with commercial real estate, but I'd rather see a data center out there than solar panels.
I can't argue that. I get a big kick out of the fact that there are companies over in Morton who are in the agriculture business, and they built these massive factories on prime farmland. I mean, talk about hypocrisy and contradictory practices and missions. To me, that made no sense when they could build those in some of the areas of the city of Peoria that need development just to get away from the deterioration of those neighborhoods. But they're not going to do that because they're concerned about the safety of their employees and their parking facilities.
So, recently Pekin turned away a data center. I think the Fulton County Board said no to a data center, and I just think it's short-lived. You get a group of people that are either misinformed or not well-informed that petition and put pressure on politicians and county boards and just say, we don't want to look at that as we drive to Cuba or
We'd rather look
Ipava.
at windmills.
And chances are they're not driving that way anyway. But these are the same people that will use their iPhones and Google search and watch Major League Baseball and National Football and see all the instant statistics that come up during sporting events that are powered by data centers and Amazon Web Services, which is run by data centers. Not to mention the fact that they need consistent clean power, so what the grid can't provide, they buy Caterpillar and gensets and GE gensets and solar turbine gensets that provide a nice boost to the economy and quarterly earnings for those big companies. So
the other part of the argument that in support of data centers is the fact that if we don't build them, China will. And I don't know whether it was you or someone else on this program indicated that as a good example of solar panels are being constructed, 90% of them in China. And we are seeing one of the greatest transfers of wealth from the United States to China historically, larger than any other
Any other.
transaction or transfer of wealth.
And not only that, but cumulatively, we have sent more money to China for solar panels than all other products combined.
Yeah.
And it is just a transfer of wealth.
Mind-boggling, yeah.
And they, China's, look, I've been there. They don't have they don't have an OSHA. They don't have an EPA with any teeth to it. They just burn and churn and put this stuff out and ship it over here. And, you might get it with a 10-year warranty, but let's face it, how many people are going to be around in 10 years that are putting these things in?
That kind of reminds me about some of these companies with products and say, with a 30-day guarantee. And I wonder, of all those people who buy the product or are dissatisfied with it, if they remember you only have 30 days. And I think that's one of the great frauds of company advertising, a 30-day guarantee. Do you know anybody who sent something back within 30 days and got their money? I tried it once, and they denied it, and it was with a company out of New York. And believe it or not, I wrote a letter to the Attorney General in New York, and they went to bat for me, and I got my money back.
Oh, good for you.
But that's unusual.
Yeah,
Because time flies when you're having fun.
Well,
And trying to return something and remembering, let's see, when did I buy this anyway?
So I bought a gas can 15 years ago, and it had a lifetime warranty on it. And the cap broke on it. And so I, looked it up, and I called, and I said, hey, I want you to send me a replacement. And they said, oh, well, that company's no longer around. We bought it out. And we suggest you replace your can every 5 years. And I said, I don't care what you suggest. This had a lifetime warranty on it. You bought the assets and the liabilities.
Well, good
when you
for
bought
you.
that company. Send me one. And she said, no, you have to go to the store and buy another one. So I had their address and phone number. So I sent them a letter, never heard from it. Had my attorney send them a letter. And they sent me a nice 2-page letter back stating that, you need to replace your gas cans, no longer safe, blah, blah, blah. And I responded. We had this nice little correspondence. I'm retired. I have time for
And
this.
you get all the time in the world to do this, right?
And I said, yeah, I'd like to replace it. I'd like you to send it to me. Here's my address. You can send it postage paid, blah, 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 blah. And didn't hear from him, called up, and I kept talking to the same person. And she said, we're not going to send you a gas can. I said, oh, but you are. Because I am retired, I have a lot of money and a lot of time, and I'm not letting this go. And they sent me a gas can.
That's similar to the dispute I had with U.S. Cellular. They advertise that if your phone is lost or stolen, they'll replace it free of charge if you buy the policy. Well, I bought the policy, and my telephone disappeared. They would not replace it. What they said was, you get a hold of the insurance company that we sold the policy for. And I said, no, I'm not going to get a hold of the insurance company. I'm getting a hold of you because you were the one, you were the representative, you were the salesman. Well, I did write to the insurance company, email and so forth, and they said, right now we're not taking any, doing any correspondence. They basically were shut down. U.S. Cellular went after me for $900 for the cell phone because I stopped making monthly payments on it. And I also charged them with saying, you were advertising a free phone. This phone is not free. And we exchanged letters. I also wrote the Illinois Attorney General, got them behind me, and they tried to arbitrate it. And but having their team of attorneys, so to speak, on my side, eventually the issue died, and I didn't send them any month. 6 months later, I get a letter from a collection agency. Said this has been turned over. Please give us your explanation of why you are not making good on it. So I wrote the letter outlining. Actually, I just made a copy of the letter I gave to the Attorney General, and I didn't hear from the collection agency. 6 months later, I get a letter from a different collection agency, honest to God. And I was communicating with some bozo for U.S. Cellular in Chicago, and he wrote very legally, but a very insightful, inflammatory letter about what a bum I was, et cetera, and so forth. So it became a personal battle, and to this day, I have not heard any more from U.S. Cellular. But, they advertise how wonderful they are, and until you challenge them, and suddenly they become demonic.
In turn, Roger's turned down for his next mortgage because his
Yeah.
credit rating's
Yeah.
been
Yeah,
smashed.
that
You know,
goes.
and that's the tool they have, because my credit rating is always above 800, and during the dispute, it gradually ticked down. It didn't plummet, but it started gradually going down, and I know it was because U.S. Cellular was doing
Exactly.
a number on me. In the end, they do have leverage over you. I should have used your. Well, I won't tell you the tactic that I use in my letter writing campaign. But you know, at a certain point, while it is frustrating and unfair, it is kind of fun. And my dad said years ago, "You should have been an attorney." He said, "You like to argue." I said, "What do you mean?" Anyway, here's our pet tip of the day.
Today's pet tip is brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Pet lovers are dedicated to their animals, all species from horses to turtles and of course cats and dogs. If you are a pet lover, learn these little-known, somewhat amazing facts about your pet. Greyhounds are well known for their tremendous racing speed. They are also very popular pets. Ask almost anyone who has adopted a retired greyhound and they will tell you that all the dog really wants to do is relax now and be loved. Greyhounds are gentle, affectionate, and fairly laid-back dogs that make excellent house pets. Some may still have the desire to chase small critters, but not all do, and the foster parent will be helpful in pointing out the more laid-back dogs. Most get along very well with children because of their tolerant and friendly nature. Because they are being adopted as adults, most will walk away from a child rather than growl or snap if they are bothered. No corn, wheat, or wheat flour in it. Also, a dog's food containing meat byproducts should be avoided, as these byproducts are ground-up remains of animals like beaks and feet. Like other dogs, they should not have table scraps either. After years of racing, they just want to be with you, laying at your feet or on your lap. They are a very clean dog, and their short, tight coat doesn't require brushing or haircuts or frequent bathing. This can be a plus for a very busy family. They make good babysitters, too. They like to watch the little ones and be near them constantly. So the next time you think about adopting a rescued animal, please look into a greyhound. They might just suit your busy lifestyle the best. This whisker of information has been made possible by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting in partnership with Spot, Saving Pets One at a Time, and KSBR Studios. Produced by Joseph C. McGuire and theme music by Stuardo Glasser.
Today's pet tip has been brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
You know, speaking of greyhounds and dogs, we've had surveys as to what's the most popular candy bar and what's the most popular restaurant and the most popular food and so forth. Has there ever been a survey taken of what breed of dogs is the most popular and the most well-liked?
Oh, probably.
I would guess the 57 variety, the plain old hound dog. But that's not a breed, is it? That's a combination of some. I have a Scotty, and I think Scotties rank kind of high in popularity. However, you don't see a lot of Scotties. You see a lot of, what are those little dogs that bark all the time? All of them.
Oh,
I
there's
guess.
Yorkshire Terriers,
Yeah.
Chihuahuas.
My late wife had one of those small dogs, and that dog just didn't like me. And I'd come into the house when she lived down in San Jose, and that little dog, the little white dog, was just yap, 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 yap. And I thought, will this be part of the marriage?
I've heard Pomeranians
Pomeranians,
can
yeah.
be that. My
They
friends had
bark,
one,
yeah.
and I thought, oh, what a beautiful dog. And my friend looked at me and goes, oh, he never shuts up. It was a rude awakening that they're very yappy.
But you're a cat lover, so
Yes,
I'm
I
going to
am.
guess growing up you didn't have dogs.
I
yet,
did
okay?
not. Yep.
Really? How about you, John? I know you're an all-American guy. Probably had dogs your entire life.
Yeah, we had poodles growing up. I'm allergic to most pets, but poodles are kind of hypoallergenic.
Really?
And
I had not heard that before.
Yeah, and we currently have 2 Bichons, which are also hypoallergenic.
Well, I never heard of that breed.
Bichon Frise. It's a Belgian dog that was bred to sit on your lap, and mine do that.
No? Really? Is that true?
It is true.
Is that a big dog or a little dog?
No, they're little. One's 8, one's 10 pounds. They you know,
Oh, they're tiny.
they
They're
might
really
they might
cute.
be 12 pounds wet. Beautiful, beautiful dogs, and so loving and loyal. But according to the American Kennel Club,
Okay, we did have a survey.
the French Bulldog is the most popular
A
dog
French
breed.
bulldog?
Followed closely by the Labrador Retriever and the Golden Retriever.
Interesting.
And then 4th place, believe it or not, the German Shepherd. So dogs that bite.
Yeah. Yeah. And big dogs, too. Most of those are big dogs, are they not?
Yeah. So the French Bulldog, that's surprising because there are a lot of dogs in my neighborhood. I don't think we have any French Bulldogs. So I guess living in the country has its benefits.
In more ways than one. Do you groom the dog yourself, or do you take it to a groomer?
No, we take it to a very expensive groomer.
Well, they're all expensive.
It's incredible. They in Florida, it's like $150 a dog. You got to do it every 6 or 7 weeks because their fur grows. It's like a poodle, just very short nap. But they, between the sand and the woods up here and the ticks and stuff,
Yeah.
you got to keep them pretty short. My wife likes them fluffier. When I take them in, they get shaved, and then she doesn't talk to me for 2 weeks until they grow out and get cute again.
And then until they have to go get another haircut.
But we can
for
get them done for $80 or $90 around here. But still, I've been cutting my own hair for 20 years.
Yeah.
It's free after
You
you buy the
have been?
clipper. Oh,
Really?
Yeah. I mean, can you tell?
Well,
Just
yeah. You
Is it
get
out
a buzz cut? is
Number
what
2
you
all the
do?
way around. Yeah.
Yeah. Number 2 blade on it. Yeah.
Yep.
That's interesting. Speaking of ticks, since you're in a rural area, are you bothered by them? Do you see a lot of ticks?
A lot of them every day.
No
I'm
kidding,
picking them off
really?
the dogs. In fact, I play cards with a vet, and we just renewed our medication for the dogs. And I said, tell me how this tick medication works because I take ticks off the dogs all the time. And he said, yeah, you'll get ticks even with the medication. What happens is when they attach, this medicine is in the fat layer, and the tick will die and fall off, so it won't infect them. And I said, but once it bites them, aren't they infected? And he goes, well, there has to be a transfer. And he said, very rarely does a dog get affected by
That's
ticks.
interesting.
And the deer ticks, I think, are the ones that I might have that backwards. The one that carries the disease that everybody's worried about, Lyme's disease.
It's a deer tick.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so most of ours are dog ticks. They literally, I know they say they don't come out of trees, but when I'm mowing, I come in, I got them all over my arm.
Doesn't that bother you?
Yeah, I mean, I just take them off.
Can't you put on that? Well, what is that
Shirt?
spray? Yeah, that long sleeve shirt. Yeah, DEET. Don't you spray DEET on your
I
body?
don't, I
or
don't
not?
think D does much against ticks.
No,
No,
I don't.
no.
I'm so sensitive. I can't stand perfume or off or any of that stuff. I just take a shower after pull the ticks off.
I'm very sensitive too, and I found taking a shower doesn't help. I still am sensitive.
Well, you're probably taking a shower alone.
Yeah.
Oh, let's not go there.
Therein lies your
yeah,
problem.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Well,
cat
last
lady.
thing
The
I
cat
wanna
lady
do-
speaks now.
No, this is a family show.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Conserve water, bathe together.
I have an audience. Anytime you go in the bathroom, the cats, I don't care where they are in the house, they show up. And so at one time I had 5, and they all make their trip in, so they're all sitting in front of you watching you do everything. Now it's down to 2, but it's truly,
You had
the
5 cats?
I had at one time, yeah.
Well, what's the limit?
Terry.
Is it 5?
Terry, let me tell you that there's something wrong with that. Five cats.
Well, it kind of accumulated. The one came in as a pair. They were abandoned.
2 for 1.
Yep, they were kittens, litter mates. And then another one, we had some that were abandoned at the tow company that we used. Their mother had been hit by a car, so
Tow truck.
they called us.
Yeah.
Yes. So they called us. So that was 2 of them. I took one, and another lady took another one. And then, because my mom died, so I then inherited Mimi. And it's just funny how they
It just accumulated.
accumulate.
yeah.
God bless you. I mean, I collect silver dollars. You collect cats.
Yes. Well, somebody do that. You know, I do remember years ago 2 things. One, dogs used to run free in the neighborhood. You don't see that happening anymore, other than my dog. When somebody knocks on the front door, if I open the front door, which I typically do, and I don't have an object to keep my dog away, he will get out. I mean, quicker than you can say, stop! Type of thing. Years ago, dogs ran randomly and freely in the neighborhood, and you know what? So did cats. And it was not unusual to see cats in groups. They were groupies, but
Cats,
it's different now.
cats still do. There's a couple that roam the neighborhood. In fact, over by the condo, sometimes the neighbors would say, "Are your cats in? We saw one that looked. There's a cat roaming around the back, and oh, my cats are definitely inside."
Yeah,
They're
most
never
cats
outside.
are inside creatures. I remember when my son and his wife used to live with me. One of their cats went outside, and I thought, oh, I'm going to be in trouble because I don't know where the cat's going to go. That cat went about 2 yards, if that, and was leaning against the side of the house, or the back of the house in this case, and it was like it was petrified.
Right.
Because this is a totally new environment versus sitting at the window looking outside. Suddenly they're outside looking inside like, come and get me. I don't know where the door is, for that matter. They are interesting creatures, I'll put it that way. But I think, what is the law when you're considered a kennel? How many pets?
I think in Peoria County it's 6.
Okay, so you were one shy of having the kennel.
She had
Okay.
8 cats. She only claimed 5.
Yeah,
No.
a Terry's kennel of cats, for that matter. Hey, we have news, weather, and sports at the top of the hour on Breakfast with Roger and Friends. And in the next hour, we're going to talk to new school member, Peoria School District member, and District 2, Andy Diaz. And there's some interesting developments, including the surprise the rumor hasn't been made official yet, of the resignation of their financial officer, who just was hired in February of this year at a salary of $210,000, and apparently he wants out. So we'll talk about that. So stay tuned, everybody. Good morning, everybody. It's time for a check of the news and the weather. We'll start with the weather. And the weather this morning is brought to you as a public service of Advanced Medical Transport at Central Illinois. They are a part of the region's healthcare network, staffed by a team of paramedics and emergency medical technicians. The men and women are quickly on the scene, rendering the best in emergency medicine. And they also provide, by the way, transportation from the hospital to the home safely and professionally with the AMT personal touch. Weather-wise, we can tell you cloudy, starting with some possible fog in central Illinois, patchy in some areas, and possible morning showers as well. Gradual clearing today, becoming sunny, and a high of 81. Cloudy tonight with a low 68. Tomorrow it'll be partly sunny and a high of 86. Showers tomorrow night with a low 70. and Saturday sunny and 86, and right now we're at 69 degrees, and our humidity at 92%. Now with our lead story, here's Terry.
Fire during the noon hour yesterday at a garage and duplex in the 7,000 block of North Charles Way, that's in the area of Holly Hill subdivision, caused $780,000 damage and minor injuries to a Peoria firefighter. Cause of the blaze was deemed accidental.
Boy, that's a lot of
That's a
damage
lot
for a
yes.
garage and a car, and I guess part of the condo. There is a report that we just mentioned that the new chief financial officer for the Peoria School District is going to resign. Dr. Michael Curry was given a 3-year contract last February at an annual salary of $210,000. Previously, he served as chief school business officer for the Decatur School District. We're going to talk with newly elected school board member Andy Diaz about that report and other school issues, 7:30 this morning, so stay tuned.
We've been exclusively reporting that Illinois will become the 13th state to allow people to kill themselves beginning September 12th. Governor J.B. Pritzker signed the measure officially called physician-assisted suicide. The governor ignored objections from the Illinois State Medical Society against the procedure. Among the objectors is Illinois State Representative Bill Hauter. Hauter is a practicing physician specializing in emergency room medicine and anesthesiology, who strongly believes the procedure is a violation of a physician's oath to first do no harm. Dr. Hauter of Morton joins us at 8:15 this morning.
The East Peoria Council voted 4-0 to raise the salary for the city's mayor. He also serves as city administrator. We're talking about Mayor John Call, really a nice guy. He abstained from the vote due to a conflict of interest. The new salary, $128,733, doesn't become effective until May of next year. Currently, John earns $101,735. That's his base salary.
Officials in Canton had a bomb scare this week and called for help from the Peoria Police Department. Peoria responded with a bomb squad, and the professionals neutralized what was described as an explosive device in a vehicle. Owner of the vehicle, 40-year-old Benjamin Ligenfelter of Farmington, was questioned by police, but no other details were provided. A search of Ligenfelter's home in Farmington produced no bomb-making materials, said authorities.
Chillicothe police say a 4-month-long drug investigation resulted in the arrest of 2 women. They've been identified as 47-year-old Catherine Ackley and 43-year-old Melissa Dowell. Police conducted a raid at a house in Chillicothe where they found all kinds of drugs and drug materials, along with a stun gun.
In national news, President Trump is claiming the U.S. and Iran are close to reaching an agreement to end the war. Wall Street remains optimistic with another record-breaking day for the Dow, reaching 54,349. This marked the 3rd consecutive day of record closes for the Dow.
There's a growing divide for the time, at any rate, in the Democrat Party as radicals won a number of elections in Democrat primaries. Socialist Bernie Sanders praised victories by such as Michigan's Abdel Sayed for the U.S. Senate. Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman, on the other hand, took a different position. He thinks the socialist communists should start their own party rather than attempt to hijack the Democrat Party.
Another shooting event in the country. 4 people were shot, 3 fatally, at a reported domestic family dispute in Prospect Hill, North Carolina. One of the dead is the gunman.
Now we get more news from WCBU.
From the WCBU newsroom, I'm Colleen Holden. East Peoria is going to keep most of its newly acquired property on the north side as an operating farm for at least the next year. The City Council has approved a lease with Yorty & Sons to have them continue farming about 210 of the 270 acres along Centennial Drive. Commissioner Mark Hill says it's a rollover lease that gives East Peoria flexibility down the road.
So it'll give us the opportunity is each year, if we're ready for some development, or we would have that ability with this type of land rent.
Hill says the city's intent in buying the property is to have control over future development. Illinoisans with home and auto insurance will see more protections against unjustified rate hikes. Laws newly signed by Governor J.B. Pritzker require insurance companies to justify increasing costs and allows the State Department of Insurance to object to rates that are excessive.
When corporations honor those values of treating their workers and their customers fairly, government should be a willing and able partner. When they don't live up to those values, government has an obligation to step in and impose fairness.
The laws also prevent insurers from increasing costs to cover losses from out-of-state natural disasters. New software invented by Peoria nurses helps keep patients with medical implants safe during surgery. CEO Jim Weldy says the software is called DeviceWise. It organizes all critical information about the many types of medical implants. This helps nurses plan ahead for surgery.
Keep patients safe. That's what we're all about. We're all patient safety geeks in this company.
Yeah.
That's how we roll.
Weldy credits DeviceWise with reducing the surgery cancel rate at OSF St. Francis in Peoria from 12% to 2%. And the American Pickers are looking for historical, rare, and unique items in Peoria. The reality television show follows restoration master Mike Wolf and his team of pickers who sift through private collections and junk piles in search of untapped potential. Filming is scheduled to take place in Illinois and Iowa this September. Anyone with unique stories and items are invited to contact the show for consideration. I'm Colleen Holden.
Dr. Gene Sitter is on hand to give us the latest in the world of sports. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Roger and friends. Hey, if you're 22 years old in Las Vegas and you want to win $10 million, what do you do?
Play
You go play poker.
Yeah, you play
Yeah.
poker. You shove all in on a king six offsuit, and you win with a 6 on the turn and a 6 on the...
Isn't it true that just about every guy at one time or another as he's growing up played poker with his buddies? I know I did.
Yeah, everybody I know, if you're a normal man, you do that.
Yeah. Or Peoria man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the World Series, 2026 World Series of Poker main event concluded last night with Lucas Jumelan, a 22-year-old professional poker player from Spokane, Washington. Congratulations, Jumelan, and your $10 million win. Exciting baseball in Chicago last night. Pete Crow Armstrong homered twice and drove in 4 runs. And the Chicago Cubs swept Ohtani and the struggling Dodgers with a wild 7-6 victory on Wednesday. Both Pete Crow Armstrong and Shohei Ohtani had 2 home runs each. Came down to the bottom of the ninth, and the Cubs pulled it out. Nico Horner added 3 hits as Chicago won for the 4th time in 5 games. The Cubs also improved to 32-15 since June 11th, strengthening their hold on the top spot in the National League wild card standings. St. Louis, J.J. Weatherholt hit a 2-run double and scored on Ivan Herrera's ground rule double to help Andre Palante and the St. Louis Cardinals beat the punchless New York Yankees 3-1 on Wednesday night. St. Louis took 2 of 3 games at Yankee Stadium to win a series for the first time since going 2-1 against Atlanta back in July. New York fell 4.5 games behind first-place Tampa Bay in the American League East. Making his Yankee Stadium debut, Palante, 12-6, was charged with 1 run and 3 hits in 5 1/3 innings after the first pitch was delayed 68 minutes by rain. Nothing worse than a rain delay in baseball.
Yeah, particularly for the TV viewer, because the guys come on and they talk and they talk and talk.
And they babble on about
nothing. Yeah, that's kind of similar to this program.
Yeah, but we get paid better than they do.
We do?
Palante improved to 7-0 and 9 road starts this season, has lasted at least 5 innings and 21 of 22 outings. Pretty good for a current pitcher. In Boston, Willier Abreu homered for the 4th time in 3 games. Sonny Gray struck out 8 in 6 innings for the 14th win. And the surging Boston Red Sox beat the Chicago White Sox 4-0 on Wednesday night. Dr. Sidler's upset about that. Mm-hmm. Boston has won 7 straight, tied with Atlanta for the longest active streak in the majors, and has won 25 of 28. The Red Sox have also won 9 consecutive series, the second longest streak in franchise history, going all the way back to 11 series run in 1912. Didn't even know they had baseball in 1912, but they did.
I did.
Pittsburgh fell 4-2 to the Milwaukee Brewers as Kyle Harrison struck out the final 8 batters that he faced. Harrison gave up 1 hit and 1 walk while striking out 10 in 5 innings in his first start since July 8th after an IL stint due to a left forearm tightness. It was the 4th time this season and the 6th time in his career he reached double-digit strikeouts. Other Major League action, the Blue Jays bested the Astros 5-4. The Rangers zeroed the Giants 6-0. The Rays 4-0 over the Rockies. The Orioles 5-2 over the Angels. Cincinnati 3-2 over the Athletics. The Mets 6-5 over the Guardians. The Nationals 10-4 over the Phillies, and the Braves 4-1 over the Marlins. The Kansas City Royals beat the Twins 2-1. Mariners 4-2 over the Tigers, and the Diamondbacks trounced the Padres 10-4. And that's a wrap for our sports. Roger.
There you have sports. You know, speaking of sports, they put up a statistic about how the Yankees have done with Aaron Judge in the lineup and what they've done with him not in the lineup, and they've had hard times. Yet this Ben Rice guy, who's a young kid, I mean, he's got 31 home runs, Aaron Judge, before he was injured, and I don't know what his injury is, only had 17. So what do they worry about? This Ben Rice, he's a hitter.
He's coming along.
Yeah.
I don't know what the deal is there. I'll look and see if I can find the story. I think they had a story on that you're talking about. I think Judge provides some
Team spirit, motivation,
kind of an anchor
inspiration,
in the dugout.
perspiration, or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, people play better when better players play. But who knows? This kid is certainly an up and comer.
Yeah, he is. And this Pete Crow Armstrong, he's a real thing. When he first came up, he was somewhat of a phenom, and then he hit a period of time where he wasn't doing. He was throwing to the wrong base, misjudging fly balls. In one game, he had no reason to seal third, and he was thrown out. And because as quick as he is, he can score on just about anything, an error, a fly ball, or whatever, even from second base. And then all of a sudden, there was a resurgence. This guy's a real thing now for the Cubs.
And I think they either sat him down or he got rid of the jitters, and they were like, look, you can be a star in this league. Listen to your coaches.
Yeah.
Third
I
base
think
coach,
you're
your batting coach, and, we can help you become a star. You've got the athleticism, you've got the talent, but quit trying to do it yourself.
Yeah. Something else that bothers me about the young kid, I think he might be chewing tobacco. I hope that's not what he is. He's not blowing bubbles, but he frequently, you see, his lower lip expanded or extended or whatever, and that usually means that they've got chewing tobacco, or I don't want to say it's snuff. So he's chewing something, but it isn't bubble gum. And speaking of that, with due respect to the manager for the St. Louis Cardinals, how old would you say he is? I think he's around 38, 40 years of age. I saw him blowing bubbles the other day. Oh, no, it was Aaron Boone. And I thought, you're a grown man. You don't blow bubbles. You're the captain of the ship. You're the leader of the team, and you're blowing bubbles like you're 21-year-old Ben Rice. Come on, guy. Grow up.
Now, Roger, all you need is a pinch between your cheek and gum.
Gum. Yeah.
Okay.
Got your Copenhagen there, your spitter in your little can, and you got your spit too.
Yeah, I just know that Bill Tuttle unfortunately died of cancer as a result of chewing tobacco. And I'm sure you're old enough to remember when Nellie Fox of the Chicago White Sox used to have a big chaw in the right side of his jaw of tobacco. And back then, it was a big deal. My brother tried when he was with the Yankees, chewing tobacco. And he had a line drive. And I asked him about it later in life, and he said, I don't remember that, Raj. I said, well, I do, because you told me the story. He had a line drive back at him, and he had tobacco in his mouth, and he swallowed the chew and was sick for the rest of the game.
I believe it.
And that cured him of chewing, thank God. Otherwise, I don't think he would have lived to be 94 years young, for that matter. Did you ever try chewing tobacco?
No.
I tried it once, and it was so terrible. I thought, why would anybody want to chew this crap?
My ex-husband did. Only he had a skull.
Yes.
So it was like a spearmint.
Yeah.
To this day, this
You still smell
the spearmint makes me sick to my stomach.
That's grounds for divorce right there, Terry.
It was just like, ugh.
Yeah.
My grandfather smoked a cherry pipe, stuffed cherry tobacco in it, and I loved the smell of it.
Oh, I think we all did.
And I never smoked, but I never minded sitting next to my grandpa in his cherry pipe.
It had a great aroma to it, didn't
Yeah.
it? Not realizing it was bad for you to inhale it and so forth. I remember in basic training when we were on bivouac, and the first sergeant said, the smoking lamp is lit. Light them if you have them. And guys would light up. Well, I didn't have cigarettes and I didn't smoke. So I thought, well, now's the time maybe to start. So I turned to one of my buddies and I said, would you loan me a cigarette? I wanted to say, as Rodney Dangerfield used to say, hey, give me a cigarette. Mine are still in the machine. And so the guy gave me a cigarette and I lit it up and was smoking like everybody else was. And maybe 2 or 3 hours, they said, the smoking lamp is lit. And I turned to the buddy and I said, loan me a cigarette. And he said, get your own. He did me a favor because I didn't get my own, didn't want to get my own. And as a result, I have never in reality smoked, except when we would go to Canada with a group of guys fishing. Somebody always brought 4 or 5 cigars, and you'd light up a cigar, and you thought that you were really being a macho guy. Did you ever try a cigar?
So I have some really expensive cigars because I pick them up. You couldn't get Cuban cigars, for a long time, and I could get them in France and Germany and Japan. So I would always smuggle them back and take them to golf outings and stuff. I probably haven't had a cigar in my mouth since maybe my brother's bachelor party. Because the taste stays with me for months.
You're right. Yeah, exactly.
And I probably did it 2 or 3 times, and it took me 6 months to recover. I don't know how people do it, right?
I don't know. My dad did a little bit. He wasn't a big smoker, but he did smoke a cigar once in a while. But we were on the way down to where were we going down? Shelbyville to visit his sister, who was in a nursing home, and he was chewing tobacco and would every now and then reach for a can and spit in it. And and my grandson was with us at the same time. And at any rate, my grandson spoke up and said, Grandpa, do you have to do that? And he said, well, it's either that or I'll smoke the cigar. And we both said, smoke the cigar. Because it was so ghastly, to say the least. All right, we'll be right back following this important message. Don't go away.
How can you measure the value of education-based athletics? Well, the value is in what makes it invaluable. That's because school sports aren't just about winning. They're about learning and growing. School sports aren't just about gaining trophies and accolades. They're about learning life lessons, bringing the whole community together, developing character and integrity, having coaches who mentor you, and teammates who become lifelong friends. And you can't put a price on any of that. That's what makes education-based athletics invaluable. Of course, when you participate in school sports, you want to win and become a better athlete, but the purpose is so much greater, becoming a better person. Support your local school sports programs. And if you have a student, encourage them to get involved.
This message presented by the NFHS and the National Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Weather-wise, we can tell you we are going to have possible showers, but it'll be mostly cloudy, and gradual clearing reaching a high of 81 degrees. You want to tell that story or not,
Yeah, in fact,
John Disharoon?
Sure, I looked it up. Talking about the
bomb
scare in Canton yesterday, it reminded me of a story that hit the wire 5 or 6 years ago about a guy in Home Depot. It was 2019. A guy walks into the men's restroom in Home Depot and closes the stall, and there's other patrons in there, and he said, y'all need to get out of here because I'm fixing to blow the place up. And somebody was washing their hands, finishing their business, and they ran out and told the manager that somebody was going to set a bomb off in the bathroom. And so they evacuated the store, called 911, bomb squad shows up, and about 10 minutes later this guy comes walking out of the bathroom feeling all comfortable and looking around, and they've got the place locked down, and cops have got guns trained on him, and they hit the floor, and he's like, man, what's going on? They said, did you did you threaten to set off a bomb in there? And he's like, no, I was trying to give him a heads up, give him a polite warning about my impending severe bowel movement that was about to take off.
Now, that sounds like a fake story, but I'm going to take it as legitimate. It was at a Home Depot.
Home Depot 2019, Fox News 8. You can check it out on the
That's
internet. Go to
funny.
YouTube and watch.
Yeah.
And what I recall about this is the newscaster that was reporting it thought it was a legitimate bomb threat, and she didn't realize until she got to the line about the severe impending bowel movement that they had set her up, because everybody else on the stage was cracking up while she was reading the snow story. And she goes, and now the joke that I'm just now realizing.
That is a funny story. All right, this day in history is our next subject to discuss and see how up to date you are. And we're going to go to August 6th, the year 1926, and the incident happened in Europe.
1926, Europe.
Was it a good thing?
Yes. Yes, it was a good thing.
Was somebody born?
No. But it involves somebody.
Well, was it a celebrity?
Somebody. The person became a celebrity as a result.
Oh, I know what it was. The Zeppelin.
No.
Oh, you thinking the Hindenburg?
Yeah.
That happened in the
That
United
might have happened, but that's not
That-
this day in history that I'm looking for.
Oh, okay.
Was it royalty?
Was it royalty?
Who were
No.
they not royalty. Okay.
You're doing the right thing. You're getting into categories, and that is
Ooh,
a
26.
good direction to go in.
Was it sports?
Yes.
Was it Olympic related?
No.
Oh. Let's see. Was it tennis related?
And it was an American who we're talking about
In Europe.
in Europe.
1926.
And I'll help you out a little bit. It was a woman, and she was 19.
Earhart?
Who?
Earhart?
No. I wonder how old was she? You're talking about Amelia.
Correct.
How old was she when she disappeared?
Was she like 34 or 35?
Okay.
Did it involve the English Channel?
Yes.
Somebody swum the channel,
Yes.
and it was a woman,
Yes.
and she was 19,
Yes.
Was
and it happened on May
Shows-
6, 1926.
And
was her name-
August 6,
Was
1926.
her name Helen something?
No. Unusual first name.
What's it begin with?
G.
Gertrude?
Yes. Gertrude who?
Oh boy. What's the last name begin with?
E.
Like Urton?
You're close enough.
Erdley.
You got it.
Erden.
Erderly.
Yeah,
Erdley.
Erderly. Yeah.
She became the first woman to swim the English Channel, completing how many miles a stretch from France to England?
So that's 20 miles, I bet.
At least, yes. More than that.
20, 21 miles, I bet.
Two
across the
digits.
channel.
2 digit.
25?
It's a typical speed limit in some areas, and you're driving a car.
45?
Too high.
No, it's like 20 or 25.
So then 35?
35 it is. And early learned to swim when she was how old?
6.
Well, I mean, honestly. She
9
was
years old, but did not learn the proper swimming, which I never did learn, until age 15, making her feat 4 years later all the more impressive. In June 1925, Hurley swam the length of New York Bay, the first woman to do so, and broke the previous men's record with a time of 7 hours and 11 minutes. Hurley's coach boarded her first attempt to cross the English Channel that same summer. I do remember that. I wasn't alive then.
I was going to say,
Really?
right?
Really? You
I'm
remember
see that
that?
on TV?
I'm old, But I do remember reading that the first time he said no, time to quit.
Didn't she win a couple Olympic medals too?
According to this, it didn't say that.
I think she was like an Olympian gold medalist in swimming.
Early began her second attempt on August 6th, 7 in the morning. Rough waters added 14 miles to the 21-mile journey as the waters pushed her off course. You would think her coach would say, hey, no, you took a left turn there. You should have taken a right turn.
They didn't have a lot of GPS then, so.
But she persevered, reaching the English shore. So she left at 7 in the morning, got there at 9:48 at night with a record swimming time of 14 hours, 31 minutes.
Yes, she wasn't an Olympic champion.
She was?
Yes. And she died in 2003.
Yeah, she lived a long time.
Yeah, she did.
She became not only the first woman to swim the channel, but also the sixth person to do it successfully. Moreover, she bested the previous record by 2 hours and beat the speed records of the 5 men who swam it before she did.
Was she
So
transgender?
she was a mender. I don't think so, but I don't know that. And I don't care whether she was or she wasn't.
In 1924 Paris Olympic Games, she won the gold in the 4x100 freestyle.
Mhm.
She won the bronze in the 100-meter freestyle, and also the bronze in the 400-meter
Wow.
freestyle.
Did she ever marry? Does it say on
Let's see.
Wikipedia? But she obviously
She married
was.
catfish hunter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Swimmer.
So,
No, she never married.
interesting. Well, now you know the rest of the story on this day in history, and we have more coming your way, so stay tuned. In the meantime, let's bring you up to date on the stories we're following in the news. And our news at the bottom of the hour brought to you by Bob Manning, Senior Vice President, Financial Advisor with the Grandview Capital Group at Morgan Stanley. For all your investment needs, call Bob. He's available today at 309-671-4653. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, LLC, member SIPC. And with our news headlines, here's Terry.
A fire during the noon hour yesterday at a garage and duplex in the 7,000 block of North Charles Way, that's in the area of Holly Hills subdivision, caused $780,000 damage and minor injuries to a Peoria firefighter. Cause of the blaze is deemed accidental. There is a report that the new chief financial officer for the Peoria School District is going to resign. Dr. Michael Curry was given a 3-year contract in February with an annual salary of $210,000. He previously was chief school business officer for the Decatur School District. We're going to talk with newly elected school board member Andy Diaz about that report and other school issues shortly. We've been exclusively reporting that Illinois will become the 13th state to allow people to kill themselves beginning September 12th. Governor J.B. Pritzker signed the measure, officially called physician-assisted suicide. The governor ignored objections from the Illinois State Medical Society. Among the objectors is Illinois State Representative Bill Hauter. Hauter is a practicing physician specializing in emergency medicine and anesthesiology, who strongly believes the procedure is a violation of a physician's oath to first do no harm. Dr. Hauter of Morton joined us at 8:15 this morning. The East Peoria Council voted 4-0 to raise the salary for the city's mayor, who also serves as city administrator. Mayor John Call did not vote due to conflict of interest provisions. The new salary, $128,733, does not become effective until May of next year. He currently earns $104,735. Officials in Canton had a bomb scare this week and called for help from the Peoria Police Department. Peoria responded with a bomb squad, and the professionals neutralized what was described as an explosive device in a vehicle. Owner of the vehicle, 40-year-old Benjamin Lingenfelter of Farmington, was questioned by police, but no other details were provided. A search of Lingenfelter's home in Farmington produced no bomb-making materials, said authorities. Chillicothe police say a 4-month-long drug investigation has resulted in the arrest of 2 women. They've been identified as 47-year-old Catherine Ackley and 43-year-old Melissa Dowell. Police conducted a raid at a house in Chillicothe where they found all kinds of drugs and drug materials along with a stun gun. In national news, President Trump is claiming the U.S. and Iran are close to reaching an agreement to end the war. Wall Street remains optimistic with another record-breaking day for the Dow, reaching 54,349. This marked the 3rd consecutive day of record closes for the Dow. And sadly, there was another shooting event in the country. 4 people were shot, 3 fatally, after a reported domestic family dispute in Prospect Hill, North Carolina. One of the dead is the gunman. And those are the headlines, Roger.
All right, thank you, Terry. And now a check of the weather brought to you by Steve Sink, certified business specialist with, of course, PHX affiliates. Steve, you know, has been a business broker for over 20 years, and he's helped people sell businesses, help people buy business, a little of both, as a matter of fact. And he specializes in business valuations, all things financial in that category. You can reach Steve at 309-696-8508. That number again, 696-8508. And John, you have the weather.
Mostly cloudy today, starting with scattered fog, although that's probably burned off by now, and possible morning showers. Gradual clearing, becoming sunny, high about 81. Tonight, some more clouds, low of 68. Tomorrow, partly sunny, high of 86. Showers tomorrow night, low of 70. Saturday, sunny, high of 86. Currently 70 degrees at the radio station.
You got it, and we'll be right back following this message.
Your car is making a strange noise. No matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
And this morning, we don't mind telling you, we're happy and honored and privileged to have a conversation with the newly elected member of the Peoria School District Board from District 2, Andy Diaz, is on the line. Good morning, Andy.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
Oh, we're doing wonderful. Thanks for joining us. A lot of people were surprised, and I don't know whether you were. Were you aware that the chief financial officer has decided to resign?
I think I had about maybe 24 hours with that news before the general public did. I was very surprised and saddened to hear that, as Dr. Curry came in his name was brought to us and brought to the former board, hired because he is really good in his field, and he was to be able to help us clean up our finances. It's something I talked about on the campaign trail for the last year. I feel this board has done itself a disservice. The leadership has not done its fiduciary duties. And I think Dr. Curry was put in a situation where, as a board, the public's seen it, we are not gelling. We're still in that storming phase of coming together as a team. And unfortunately, his departure is a real shame. And it worries me for our district.
Well, it does for the general public, and I'm part of the general public, does raise a number of questions. Normally, somebody in this situation does not resign unless there are some very serious issues that need to be, and I know you campaign on transparency, need to be, if not openly investigated, certainly audited by maybe even an independent financial firm. There's something going on. You know, typically many organizations, business organizations, when a high-ranking and maybe just any employee leaves, they do an exit interview. Why are you leaving? What is bothering you, et cetera, and so forth? Could the board have if not a public meeting, an executive meeting, and interview him as part of the exit process?
I sure would like that. I think, as a professional, Dr. Curry has to maintain his integrity. He has to be able to, get gainful employment later on. I don't think he's going to come out and drop any bombshells or throw anybody under the bus. I think we as a board have to look at what's been going on. It's been out there. There's a lot of dysfunction. Not all of the board members or information is shared, so I think this is one of those situations where, again, we have people on this board who have served for many years now, who have been at the leadership position as either the president or the vice president, who have not completed their fiduciary duties, and who are unable to take account for their actions over the last few years. I think Dr. Curry wouldn't tell us anything that we already probably didn't know. What I think we need to figure out is why our CEO, our superintendent, hasn't brought us a plan to help Dr. Curry catch up, to bring us more employees in the finance department, to rectify some of the spending that's been going on. And there's just a culture of fear and intimidation that is lingering over this district. And I hope that over the course of this next year, we can air some of that out in public. I tell people, FOIA is your friend. As a citizen of Peoria, if you want to know what's going on, if you want to see some of the communications or some of the things being said, submit a FOIA to the district. Ask for conversations between the board president and the superintendent, between board members and the superintendent. See if recommendations were made that were ignored, or if people are doing things in a way that's just not in the best interest of the students of District 150. And I hope that people would take this as a reason to get engaged, because this will impact not just the 12,650 plus students at our district, but you think about every homeowner, taxpayer, everyone in our community is impacted because our students are not going to have the resources they need. The programs aren't going to be funded as they should. And ultimately, it may cause either cuts within the district, which based on conversations with some, we've cut this district quite a bit already over the years, or it's going to require a further tax increase, or, this last year they raised the taxes for people 7.5% on the assessed valuation. There's more money coming into the district, but we're not able to account for it. And I think it's been a practice of past officials to just allow the board to say, yes, we'll spend the money, and the checkbook has checks in it, so they think there's money. And it's not the proper way to run government.
There have been two contentious school board meetings, and you've been at the center of them, raising questions, particularly and especially for the elite program. And it appears that what the board did on a vote of 5-2 is kick the can down the road, and instead of approving an allocation of annually of $624,000 for this program that apparently deals with at-risk students who have behavioral problems said, well, we won't approve the annual, but we'll do it for 6 months. Is that pretty much a summary of what took place at the two meetings?
Yeah, what it is, Roger, it's not against elite, right? It's against $600,000 or $300,000 for a semester for the school district to fund a nonprofit within our walls and not have any form of accountability of that nonprofit. In our packet we were to fund 11 positions, 6 of which were administrative, 3 full-time classroom aides and 2 part-time classroom aides were the only things that were actually directly going to facilitate any sort of programming to help the kids, whether that's watching them be on the computer or do whatever programs and things that elite is supposed to be responsible for. And we've heard it from our regional office of education that they weren't meeting all of the standards. It was not performing as promised. I pulled the data. Right? I brought it with me to the meeting. I asked for it, and no one's ever even thought to review it. Our board president said that she looks at data and she's seen analysis, yet when I asked for it, no one at the district had it. So I don't know where she's seen things, but this program isn't performing as it should. We're leaving kids behind, and it really angered me that the elite people said that our teachers and the people who serve our community, who live within Peoria and serve our community, were throwing kids to the side and discarding them, when that same group, that same leader, Carl Cannon, was on Travis Weaver's podcast saying he threw 4 kids out on the first day, that they threw these kids out. And I don't know what the real numbers are. On his website, he has 19. To the media, he said 18. To Travis Weaver, he said 17. This program isn't what we're promised. It's not clear that anybody has ever looked at the numbers. We're just paying people in the community money because they're very well connected. And as you've seen from the public input, that it's about trying to intimidate board members into making decisions that aren't financially sound for this district. And I won't do that. And I will continue to fight for the students and the children and the taxpayers of this community, because at the end of the day, if we don't, we're all hosed. There's kids that can't read and write at their grade level. There's inefficiencies. There's no audit. Like, everything is going down, and yet we're trying to pretend like things are great. And in my first 30 days, I see that we have some great opportunities to come together if people would get past their ego and thinking that they have all the right answers and allow everyone that was elected to the board to serve as in their full capacity. We're not being allowed to do that, and I hope the people of Peoria hear this show, hear that messaging, see people talking about this, and call those that have previously never gone on the record to talk about what's going on, and when they say things that we know aren't right, challenge them. I'll be honest. I look at this, Roger. In this last campaign, we had people talk trash about candidates. We had people say that they don't play with their kids' education, yet they come to board meetings, don't talk, don't ask questions, but they say they're doing the work, and they can't honestly say that this is in the best interest of our kids. And it just saddens me that we are at a point where people are intimidated into voting certain ways or afraid to speak up for whatever reason. And I will continue to speak up. I'll continue to come on your show or go out there in the public, because this has to be addressed. We can't. We're 30 days in. We've lost our CFO. I don't know if our superintendent's going to be willing to stick around for much longer if this is the culture that we have fostered here at the district.
Which
So I
superintendent?
hope we can change.
Yeah, which superintendent you're talking about? Well, one of the reasons I think some of the people, and you're a good illustration of it, don't speak up and speak their mind and ask questions is because some board members, and I'm not going to mention them because anybody who follows it knows who we're talking about, like to intimidate someone who is like you. As a matter of fact, I think that board member called you a racist, and you're part of the minority on the board. I didn't know you were a racist, Andy.
It's just Rich, Roger. I don't think many of the people who have come and who want to say things like that don't know me. And while I'm an elected official and going to take a lot of arrows, I think if people would actually take a minute and see that I have been in this community for most of my life. I have invested what my family's wealth is in serving other people and trying to better the North Valley, the North End, as we call it, right?
Yeah, thank you. God bless you.
Right? But I think that sometimes people think you have to be the loudest voice in the room to be right. And instead of actually looking at information or really looking at the whole of our district, we can't just focus on 50 children because we've got 12,600 other kids that have to get served by this community. And yeah, we've got some people on the board who have been around a long time, and you know, you can hear it in their voices, you can see it in the meetings. But at the end of the day, we were all elected by the people of Peoria. The board should, you know, work together. But again, information's not being shared. I've brought it to our legal representatives. I've asked Dr. Bell to communicate with everyone on the board because, quite honestly, I think that the way things stand, this school district is not being run by our superintendent. It's being run by two board members who have taken all the power of the board, and because of their ability to intimidate, threaten, yell, or push or cajole people into voting their way, have done things that are not in the best interest of this board, that are not what are the academic decisions to be made by a professional that we spent over $50,000 to find. And if we're going to continue that, I want the public to know, right? And that's why I continue to tell people, FOIA is your friend. Every conversation that I have with people or when I email folks, as an elected official, I know is FOIA-able. And I hope people will go out there and start looking into this and see if we are being run by two people who are elected and not by the people who are professional educators. Again, the people of Peoria deserve to know that. The people of Peoria should demand that the professionals do their jobs and be allowed to do their jobs and bring the recommendations to the board instead of board leadership telling the professionals what they must do because that's what they want done to take care of, whether it be to do business with certain companies because that's who they are entangled with, or if it's really what's in the best interest of the Peoria community. And challenge leadership. I'm out there fighting every day, and I'll continue to take those arrows. I serve my community. I try my best to give back and to be part of what makes our city a great place to live. And I think, over the next year, people are going to continue to see me do that. And then this spring, an election will happen, and 2 District 2 board seats will be open, and people will have to make a decision if that continued leadership stays in place, or we find new people who will allow the professionals to do their job, who will work with everyone in a way that we're not all going to agree, but we don't have to call each other names. We don't have to threaten, intimidate, or try to scare people into making a decision, because if not, you'll be, harmed in some way, whether personally, physically, socially, whatever. That's not how this is supposed to work.
We're talking with, in case you're just joining us, Andy Diaz. Andy is from Ireland and minority. I thought that was kind of funny. Nobody laughed.
Did you say Ireland there?
Yeah, that was very good. Any final thoughts? Because you certainly have covered the waterfront, and I know you're looking for transparency, and there's some things going on, and obviously people want to know, the taxpayers of District 150 want to know why the chief financial officer, within a 6-month period of being hired, has suddenly resigned. They usually say where there's smoke, there's fire, so there certainly needs a number of questions that need to be answered. Any final thoughts, Andy? God bless you.
Yeah. Right now is the time. Go print out the paperwork to run for the board. District 2 is south of Forest Hill, above the bluff, all the way to West Peoria. If you're interested in running and you don't know what it takes, or if you want to find out maybe more or see, talk, I'm available. I think there's board members who will talk to you. But I really do hope and encourage people in Peoria to take a look at what's going on, make a decision that they'll serve the community. It's a long term, right? It's 5 years. But the next 5 years for me are all about making it so that our kids can thrive, that educators can educate, and that taxpayers of Peoria can know where their money's going. And just as a point of clarification, Dr. Curry's been on the job less than a month.
Oh, that's right. You're right. I'm glad you mentioned it. He signed the contract in February, but went to work last month. You're right.
So
and that may be a record.
This is where people should question what is going on this board, what is going on in the back rooms that even I'm not privy to. And that's the sad part, is I'm supposed to be in that room with them. So I hope people will speak up, people will start to get engaged, and I look forward to maybe things like this, bringing light to that, and changing people's attitudes so that we can work together as a board.
Well, I'll tell you quickly, as a retired educator I talked to about the resignation, indicated that maybe this needs to be referred to the Department of Justice if some answers are not provided.
Yeah, everything's on the table at this point, Roger.
Yeah.
Hey, Andy, if they're not sharing information with you, I think this is a classic case of discrimination. And perhaps you ought to pursue that angle, because they call you a racist, but they're not sharing it with the minority. So I think you had an angle there.
Well, I think it's one of those things, when I have to FOIA our own board,
yes,
it scares me.
Yeah, there are things that going on, and there have been rumors for years that there are too many inside particularly the hiring of family members, et cetera, and so forth. Those are rumors that have been floating around for a number of years in District 150. Andy, thank you for joining us, and don't be a stranger.
All right, thank you very much for having me. Have a great day.
You bet. And we've been joined, thank you, Andy Diaz, we've been joined by a guy who knows education, and that's Dave Bowles. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning. How are you?
This
is what happens when you don't lock the doors. This is
yeah.
what you get.
Anybody can walk in. Yeah. We better not broadcast that, or otherwise I'll have to hire Ed Parker
that's
to be
true.
the doorman
Ed, if you're
for
out
us.
there, he'll take care of things for us.
What do you think about some of the things that Andy Diaz talked about?
I was listening. He's absolutely right in that transparency is everything. And obviously I think back on my career. You want to work hard for kids. That's why we do it. And also truly balancing for the taxpayers of our city. And I think especially now as people look at things like assessed valuations and our property tax bills, what are we getting for that? And the quick answer would be the best we can for our kids. That being said, I couldn't agree more. I've been listening this morning to what he said about transparency, transparency, transparency. So again, when people hear hints of quote unquote backroom deals and that sort of thing too, it does raise an eyebrow, doesn't it? And so I think he's right on target with that. And I think I was encouraged to hear, I think back in my career in different board members, the idea that he is asking the difficult questions, as he said. And because there's difficult answers ahead too, right? So, and the other part I would simply mention is that having a collegial, unified board saying, let's work together on this. Let's maybe go into a retreat and say, what can we do better? Reset, and because there are some things, I mean, let's be honest, the money's not growing on trees anymore, is it?
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's a fascinating development, and this is only chapter 1, and there will be more things coming up. How long have you been a part of the Peoria Regional Office of Education?
4 years. I'm a good old part-timer, retired part-timer. So
yeah, but
I
prior to
retired
that-
in 22. I didn't have much of retirement. I think I started the next month. So.
What was your first teaching job?
Peoria High, as one of our colleagues next to us, Mr. Disharoon. We actually started together in high school, didn't we?
We did.
Did you really?
We're both class 82. Peoria
You're
High.
kidding.
Yes.
Who was principal then?
Corky Robertson.
Corky Robertson, yeah.
But who was taller? Dave Poles.
That's true. That's true.
We call him MacGyver. He could fix anything. He had the buzz cut before anybody. You'd
He
walk,
set the trend.
you'd walk down the hall and you hear, Poles!
There you go. It's quite the echo. Is there an echo in here? Yes.
Yeah.
But no,
Who-
Mr.
who-
Disharoon and I are both esteemed class 82, a great class too. So.
Yeah. Who were the coaches, basketball and baseball or football back in those days?
Bruce Boyle was
He was a basketball
Yep.
coach. He was a neighbor of
And
mine,
then Bisher came in later.
Chuck
That
Fisher.
was our sophomore year, I think, wasn't it? Or
Yeah.
junior year or something like that.
And let's see, baseball was
Gottwald?
it Gottwald sophomore year, but I forgot who
Wasn't
was
Suffield?
Suffield. Yeah,
Yeah.
Suffield was freshman year. And let's see, who else did you say? That's basketball, baseball.
Yeah, football. Lavery.
Football was
Oh, yeah.
always Larry
Always
Lavery.
Lavery.
Larry Lavery.
Yeah.
Coach Lave, yep.
Those are legendary names, not only just for Peoria High, but in the community.
So Larry Lavery he also taught driver's ed. And I was on student council. Chuck Graham was our student council
Oh, you were
advisor.
kidding. Chuck Graham
that's right.
was? Yeah.
And speaking of which, I think he ought to drop his city council bid and run for school board.
Yeah.
Because they need Chuck Graham on that board.
Boy, would he be a power.
Oh, my, yes.
Chuck, if you're listening, run for
Think
school
about
board.
that, yeah.
Absolutely. Anyway, we're in student council and we're planning homecoming. This is like the first week of school, right? And he said, go down and ask Coach Lavery, who's 2 doors down, how much time we're going to have at halftime. And this is the first week of school, so that's what, early August. Homecoming's in
Sure,
October.
sure.
I go down, knock on the door. Lavery's showing a movie or something. Son, what do you want? And I said, Mr. Grib wants to know what time we're going to have time. And he uses the Lord's name in vain. Kid, that's in October. We got a lot of games between here and then.
Yeah.
You come back and see me in October, and I'll tell you. So I go back and I report to Grib, and he goes, go back and inform the coach that we are preparing. And he used me as this volleyball
Oh,
coach.
you're
Lavery-
kidding, yeah.
and Lavery was just like, I'm not even thinking about halftime.
I always
at
remember
homecoming.
Coach Lave, his shirts would never, ever stay tucked in.
They wouldn't tuck in.
He'd walk around, shirts are hanging
Yeah.
out. And
Wouldn't you love to go back to those days and relive them? Because they were joyous days. They were happy days, by and large. Were they not?
They really were. We didn't have near the concerns. You know, we had armed guards at Central when we were in high
Right,
school.
right.
But they'd give you a ride home from school. You know, if you're walking to Hamilton Boulevard in the snow, they'd pull over in his little MG and say, hey.
No kidding.
And John,
Really?
to your point, I think our class, what's unique about it, we all came from different areas, Peoria High's boundaries, and everybody got along. It was something I was telling my own wife, she says, why was high school? It was just great. It was just, everybody was welcoming. And Peoria was a great place to be in the late 70s, early 80s when you're a high school kid. A lot to do, wasn't there?
There was plenty to do. Everybody
Yeah.
was busy. We all had jobs. You'd walk
Yep.
and ride your bike to jobs. the gangs were non-existent.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest gang was intramural basketball. If you were on the Aces or the Spades,
Yeah.
you know.
Do they
Yeah,
even, do they
that's right.
even have intramural basketball
Yeah.
today, still in high
They
school?
did.
Do they?
When I was teaching at Peoria High, we
I'll
actually
bet
had
they
an
don't.
intramural program.
I'm willing to
Yep.
bet they don't.
But they might not now, but I know they did it up till at least
And you know
late
that
2000s.
in basketball, that was a fun thing because I wasn't good enough to make the team, but intramurally you played and you had almost as much fun
Yeah.
as some of the guys did who were the regular players in sports.
There's a group on Facebook that talks about history of Peoria basketball. It's run by, I think, Boo Johnson from Central and a guy from Manual, and they say two of the best ball players ever in Peoria never played varsity basketball because
No
they
kidding.
couldn't make the grades or didn't come to school enough to make
To be
the-
eligible.
But they
Yeah.
would tear it up in intramurals in the summer leagues.
Interesting.
And the same couple names keep popping up, and I'm like, if they were that good, the coaches would have found a way to get them on the team.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
they certainly would. If we have coaches who would get kids to move into certain districts and have their parents buy rent an apartment, as was done, and we all know, I know the family was well, we'll leave it at that. Let's not get into that. All right, we have news, weather, sports. Coming up in the next hour, we have more controversy. We're going to talk to State Representative Bill Hauter of Morton, Illinois, talking about the bill signed by the governor for physician-assisted suicide, and that is controversial. And we look forward to talking to Bill Hauter, so stay tuned. We're having breakfast with Roger and friends on WAZU FM 90.7 in Peoria. Also on YouTube at Roger and Friends LS. Stay tuned. More coming your way. So happy to see everybody with a bright smile on the face because we're going to check in with the weather coming up, and we'll have that. So stay tuned with John Disharoon. And the weather this morning is brought to you by Spoon River Home Health, making a difference in the lives of their clients. They've been around helping people in their homes since 1993 with a comprehensive range of home health care services from skilled nursing to bathing and personal care. And you can reach them with more details, get more details at 309-245-0723. What do you have, John?
Mostly cloudy today with possible morning showers. Was it sprinkling out, Dave, when you were out there?
sprinkling. It was not. But it looks like it could be soon.
Humid in the air. Gradual clearing, becoming sunny, high of 81. Tonight, some clouds, low of 68. Showers tomorrow night, low of 70. And Saturday, it's going to be sunny and a high of 71. We are currently at 70.258 degrees.
Oh, well, you got it down to the numbers. And now the news brought to you by Realtor Kathy Reynolds of Home Smart, now listing a beautiful two-bedroom, two-bath condo in the city with an unbelievable view of the countryside from a gorgeous living room. This home has a beautiful kitchen with adjoining dining room, plus other amenities, and you get the exciting details from Kathy at 309-696-2162. Here's Terry with our lead story.
A fire during the noon hour yesterday at a garage and duplex in the 7,000 block of North Charles Way, that's in the area of Holly Hill subdivision, caused $780,000 damage and minor injuries to a Peoria firefighter. Cause of the blaze was deemed accidental.
There was a report that the new chief financial officer for the Peoria School District is going to resign. Dr. Michael Curry was given a 3-year contract last February with an annual salary of $210,000. He previously was Chief School Business Officer for the Decatur School District. Now, we just recently talked with newly elected board member Andy Diaz about that report and several other issues, and he gave us some great insights.
We've been exclusively reporting that Illinois will become the 13th state to allow people to kill themselves beginning September 12th. Governor J.B. Pritzker signed the measure, officially called physician-assisted suicide. The governor ignored objections from the Illinois State Medical Society against the procedure. Among the objectors is Illinois State Representative Bill Hauter. Hauter is a practicing physician specializing in emergency medicine and anesthesiology, who strongly believes the procedure is a violation of a physician's oath to first do no harm. Dr. Hauter of Morton will join us at 8:15 this morning.
The East Peoria Council voted 4-0 to raise the salary for the city's mayor, who also serves as city administrator. Mayor John Call abstained from the vote due to a conflict of interest restriction. The new salary, $128,733, does not become effective until May of next year. He currently earns $104,735.
Officials in Canton had a bomb scare this week and called for help from the Peoria Police Department. Peoria responded with a bomb squad, and the professionals neutralized what was described as an explosive device in a vehicle. Owner of the vehicle, 40-year-old Benjamin Lincolnfelter of Farmington, was questioned by police, but no other details were provided. A search of Lincolnfelter's home in Farmington produced no bomb-making materials, said authorities.
Chillicothe police say a 4-month-long drug investigation has resulted in the arrest of 2 women. They've been identified as 47-year-old Catherine Ackley and 43-year-old Melissa Dowell. Police conducted a raid at a house in Chillicothe where they found all kinds of drugs and drug materials, along with a stun gun.
In national news, President Trump is claiming the U.S. and Iran are close to reaching an agreement to end the war. Wall Street remains optimistic, with another record-breaking day for the Dow, reaching 54,349. This marked the 3rd consecutive day of record closes for the Dow.
There's a growing divide for the time in the Democratic Party as radicals won a number of elections in Democratic primaries. Socialist Bernie Sanders praised victories by such as Michigan's Abdul El-Sayed for the U.S. Senate. Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman took a different position. He thinks the socialist communists should start their own party rather than hijack Democrats.
Sadly, there was another shooting in the country. 4 people were shot, 3 fatally, at a reported domestic family dispute in Prospect Hill, North Carolina. One of the dead is the gunman.
And those are some of the stories. We'll get more from WCBU, and it's presented by Advanced Medical Transport. They're the premier provider of emergency and scheduled ambulance services in Illinois. You know, there are more than 500 employees, men and women, dedicated to offering and providing the best in health care. Saving lives is what they do. Now WCBU.
From the WCBU newsroom, I'm Colleen Holden. East Peoria is going to keep most of its newly acquired property on the north side as an operating farm for at least the next year. The City Council has approved a lease with Yorty & Sons to have them continue farming about 210 of the 270 acres along Centennial Drive. Commissioner Mark Hill says it's a rollover lease that gives East Peoria flexibility down the road.
So it'll give us the opportunity is each year, if we're ready for some development, or we would have that ability with this type of land rent.
Hill says the city's intent in buying the property is to have control over future development. Illinoisans with home and auto insurance will see more protections against unjustified rate hikes. Laws newly signed by Governor J.B. Pritzker require insurance companies to justify increasing costs and allows the State Department of Insurance to object to rates that are excessive.
When corporations honor those values of treating their workers and their customers fairly, government should be a willing and able partner. When they don't live up to those values, government has an obligation to step in and impose fairness.
The laws also prevent insurers from increasing costs to cover losses from out-of-state natural disasters. New software invented by Peoria nurses helps keep patients with medical implants safe during surgery. CEO Jim Weldy says the software is called DeviceWise. It organizes all critical information about the many types of medical implants. This helps nurses plan ahead for surgery.
Keep patients safe. That's what we're all about. We're all patient safety geeks in this company.
Yeah.
That's how we roll.
There'll be credits to Vice-Wise with reducing the surgery cancel rate at OSF St. Francis in Peoria from 12% to 2%. And the American Pickers are looking for historical, rare, and unique items in Peoria. The reality television show follows restoration master Mike Wolf and his team of pickers who sift through private collections and junk piles in search of untapped potential. Filming is scheduled to take place in Illinois and Iowa this September. Anyone with unique stories and items are invited to contact the show for consideration. I'm Colleen Holden.
Hi, let's get into the world of sports. John Disharoon sitting in for the vacationing Dr. Gene Sibley. John, what do you have? What's your lead story? I'm betting it says something to do with gambling.
Yeah, well, you know, when first place pays out $10 million and second place is $6 million, there's nothing wrong with coming in second place, is there?
No, good point.
Lucas Jumalan, a 22-year-old professional poker player from Spokane, Washington, finished a wire-to-wire performance last night to win the 2026 World Series of Poker main event and $10 million. Roger, he shoved on King 6 offsuit, hit a 6 on the turn, or hit a 6 on the flop and a 6 on the turn to lock up $10 million, the second youngest player in World Series of Poker history to win, and that's the biggest pot, $10 million payout. Not bad.
You got the terminology down. I take it you play and have played poker for some time.
I read a book.
Okay. All right, I'll take that.
In Chicago, Pete Crow Armstrong homered twice and drove in 4 runs, and the Chicago Cubs swept Ohtani and the struggling Los Angeles Dodgers with a wild 7-6 victory last night. And I know Poles watched that game.
Oh, I'm all over it.
I mean, what an exciting baseball game.
Yeah, we're Cardinal fans are kind of rejoicing not.
Nick Herner added 3 hits as Chicago won for the 4th time in 5 games. The Cubs also improved to 32-15 since June 11, strengthening their hold on the top spot in the National League wild card standings. Los Angeles was swept for the 2nd straight series. The 2-time defending World Series champions and odds-on favorite for this year have dropped 6 in a row for the first time since a 7-game skid in July of 2025. Ohtani did all he could. He went deep twice for the National League West leading Dodgers, and Max Muncy connected for a 3-run homer in a 5-run 8th inning to keep it close. Mookie Betts had 4 hits after he batted just 167 in his previous 25 games. In New York, well, this is what gets people excited. J.J. Weatherholt hit a 2-run double and scored on Ivan Herrera's ground rule double to help Andre Palante and the St. Louis Cardinals beat the punchless New York Yankees 3-1 on Wednesday night.
We finally got one, didn't we?
Yeah. Man, St. Louis took 2 of 3 games at Yankee Stadium to win a series for the first time since going 2-1 against Atlanta back in July. New York fell 4.5 games behind first-place Tampa Bay in the American League East. Making his Yankee Stadium debut, Palante, 12-6, was charged with 1 run and 3 hits in 5 1/3 innings after the first pitch was delayed 68 minutes by rain. What'd you do during the rain delay?
A lot of dancing.
A lot of dancing?
Yeah.
Make a pizza,
Walking
chop a
around,
salad.
Being totally bored.
I like what you said in that, too. The Cubs improving. Those are 2 things that are unique to the season, right? You don't hear that very often.
They're on a roll, and they're still
They are on a roll.
In Boston, Willie Abreu homered for the 4th time in 3 games. Sonny Gray struck out 8 in 6 innings for his 14th win. And the surging Boston Red Sox beat the Chicago White Sox 4-0 last night. Boston has won 7 straight, tied with Atlanta for the longest active streak in the majors, and has won 25 of 28. I mean, that's hard to do in baseball.
Yeah, no, you're right. And they're being led by a former Cub and a former Cardinal. Who is it for 10 points?
Give up.
He's the catcher.
Oh, Contreras.
Yes.
Yeah.
He must travel. I think he might be a distraction in the clubhouse, is what I've heard.
Well, he had an RBI single in the first inning that brought Abreu in from second.
Yeah.
So distract and win, I guess that's okay.
Yeah. If you can still win and be a distraction, why not?
Chicago did threaten to tie it in the 3rd. Miguel Vargas reached on an infield single to third baseman Caleb Durbin, but first baseman Contreras fielded the throw off the bag, then threw to the plate, where catcher Connor Wong tagged Anatochi for the 3rd out. So Contreras saves the game.
Yeah.
In Milwaukee, Kyle Harrison struck out the final 8 batters he faced. William Contreras, is any relation
Wilson.
to?
Wilson, yep. Well,
So William and Wilson, are they brothers?
They are brothers.
I think,
That is
yeah,
correct.
yeah.
Okay.
I think there's a brother who's a catcher with Milwaukee.
Correct.
And then
Oh,
there's
that's
the
right,
one
yeah.
with the Red Sox. And then there's a third one, is there?
Is there?
Yeah, the one in Milwaukee's one I know.
Wow,
yeah.
what's in the
They
DNA?
are brothers.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's outstanding. The Milwaukee catcher
It's
is,
outstanding in the
great.
field.
Yeah.
So William Contreras, homered in the Milwaukee Brewers beat the Pirates 4-2 on Wednesday night. Don't like to see that happen. I like the Pirates. Harrison gave up 1 hit and 1 walk while striking out 10 in 5 innings in his first start since July 8 after an injury due to a left forearm tightness. It was the 4th time this season and 6th time in his career he reached double digits. The Blue Jays beat the Astros 5-4, the Rangers 6-0 over the Giants, the Rays 4-0 over the Rockies, and the Orioles 5-2 over the Angels. The Reds 3-2 over the Athletics, the Mets beat the Guardians 6-5, the Nationals 10-4 over the Phillies, and the Braves 4-1 over the Marlins. Kansas City beat the Twins 2-1, the Mariners 4-2 over the Tigers, and the Diamondbacks hammered the Padres 10-4, and that's a wrap on sports because I can't wait to talk to our own physician state rep, Bill Hauter.
You're right, Bill Hauter. He's on the line. Good morning, Bill.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing fine. We have someone who's a member of your fan club and has shared some information that the weather did a number on you on your place in Florida, I understand.
Oh, yeah. Yep. It's, we have an Airbnb down there that got destroyed by 2 hurricanes.
Yeah. Have you thought about moving that to a different location? You would if you could. Well, let's talk about the physician-assisted suicide measure that has been passed by the state legislature and signed by Governor Pritzker. You're not happy about that, are you, as a physician?
No, it's terrible. It's terribly disappointing. It's very frustrating the way it was passed. I don't know if you know, Roger, how it was passed in the middle of the night on the last day of veto session last year. And then the governor took a long time to sign it and was giving indications that he was a little bit surprised that it came before his desk, but eventually he signed it like he said he would, of course. And then it's just so, it was passed over the objections of so many people, including the Illinois State Medical Society, the largest advocate for physicians in the state, and the physicians who are purported to be the ones who will initiate this or administer or prescribe these suicide medications or the regimen. So the largest, group that represents physicians in Illinois, we were strongly opposed to it for many reasons, most of which are it violates our sacred oath. It is our sacred oath to do no harm, and this is the most harm you can do, and obviously, and to make physicians those not healers, not people that relieve suffering, profession that has always helped people, and we have the practice of hospice care and palliative care, that we help those who are suffering and terminally ill or with chronic diseases. Now, instead of putting our resources into hospice care and palliative care, we're going to have physician-assisted suicide. It's just awful.
You know what is disturbing about it is that during COVID-19, we were told pay attention to the science. The science says this and so forth. Well, the same, and listen to our physicians, etc. In some cases. And here's the situation where the governor and the state legislators, particularly the Democrat Party, didn't listen to, quote, the science, didn't listen to the experts. So instead, they just listened to the politicians and maybe some social workers on top of it. It seems to be a contradiction.
Yeah, I mean, it's the physicians of Illinois were saying that this is not something we want. There's too many issues. It violates our oath, and there's logistical problems with the regimen. It's not well thought out. It's a series of many pills that you take without any provision for healthcare supervision. So basically, the physician just prescribes the medication, and then a person can get these medications, and we're talking 40 to 80 pills that they have to take over a series of hours. And then there's no one to observe it at all. They could take it by themselves, and there can be complications. They could start being ill, and they could not finish it. And then there's no one there to help them or observe them. It's just there's so many issues with it, and I proposed a legislation to kind of get some rules and boundaries set up around this, because, as I said, it was a bill passed in the middle of the night without much debate over the objections of physicians and many disability groups that had objections to how this will affect so many disability groups.
And interesting, Bill, is they didn't consult someone like you, and because you're not only a physician, but one of your specialties is anesthesiology, and that is an area of medicine that helps people through medical procedures. And I'm amazed that they didn't focus on what your thoughts might be. I'm sure you had the opportunity, I guess, in the middle of the night to respond to no one who was listening.
Well, I mean, it was debated in the House and in committee, and I tried to bring that forward, and many other advocates opponents to this measure were heard. But as far as how it was passed in the Senate, it barely passed in the House, and then it failed in the Senate, or it didn't come forward. And then in the last day of veto session, in the last hours, I think it was 4 o'clock in the morning, they decided they were waiting for some bill to come that they would just run this physician-assisted suicide bill. So there was extremely little debate. But many physicians brought these problems forward with it. Mostly, physicians have a lot of experience with the insurance company tactics that we see, that they don't want to pay for a lot of care and expensive care. Well, what's the cheapest care, Roger? What's the cheapest care is no care. And if people, insurance companies don't have to pay for chronic illnesses over years, or if they don't have to pay for expensive cancer treatments, this is a great thing for them. And so many people that have chronic diseases, or they have maybe a rare cancer or rare disease, and they need expensive medicines or expensive treatments, there's going to be subtle pressure on those people, especially from insurance companies or the payers, that maybe they should consider suicide. Maybe that's the best option for them. And so many people that have chronic illnesses or have disabilities often feel like they are worth less, and they feel like they're a burden on society or their loved ones. And now there's going to be this subtle pressure, maybe not so subtle, that maybe the best thing to take the burden off their caregivers and maybe not cost as much to the system, that they should consider suicide. And so this is a dangerous path that we're going down, and it's not well thought out, and I don't think people understand all the angles. This is a huge cultural shift in our state, and it's not for the better.
So, Dr. Hauter, John Disharoon here. Thanks for joining the show.
Oh, hey, John.
So, late stages of life, if you're in such bad condition that you're even considering, or your loved ones are considering helping you to the afterlife, you get 20 pills into a 40-pill regime in a couple of hours, and your gag reflex sets in, and you can't take the rest of the pills. Kind of walk us through what a scenario. What do 20 pills do if you need 40?
That's what we brought up. I mean, especially when there's no requirement for any kind of presence of healthcare professionals. I mean, I can see, sometimes these pills are very nauseating to people, and they may stop, and then they've taken a lot of medicines, mostly benzodiazepines, like Ativan would be an example of it, and so they're very sedated. And then there's issues with aspiration or losing their airway, and so, with what are we going to do about those people who decide to take it without any observation or ability to monitor them? And then the other question is, what about the people who get the prescription and have all these pills in their house and decide not to use them? And so now we have controlled substances, huge amount of controlled substances out there that are unregulated, unmonitored, and unsafe. So there's that issue. If you use them and you don't complete the administration of the multiple pills that you have to take, or the other way is if you don't actually take them, and now those are out there in our everyday world. Huge amounts of controlled substances are out there not being used.
One of the common things you've heard from families who have been victimized by suicide is, well, he wasn't in his right mind for a long time. And you wonder, as you know, the field of psychology is sometimes not very definitive. And you wonder when people say, well, I want to do that, are they clear thinking or are they clouded by issues in their lives?
That's exactly right. I mean, we all know that depression, when you're chronically ill, depression is a huge part of it as well. And it waxes and wanes. People feel motivated and they feel that they can cope at different times. And in some parts of it, they feel like extremely depressed and feeling like they can't go on any further. But we've never answered that with, oh, well, maybe here's some way that you can commit suicide then. We've always said suicide is not the answer. Let's meet your needs. Let's address your mental health issues. And now the state of Illinois has made a way for them to just, well, that's a viable option that you can just kill yourself.
Yeah. I think they should have retitled it, "The Insurance Company Doesn't Have to Pay Bill."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well said. The other thing that bothers me, it seems like we're, when it comes to health issues, we're going in the wrong direction. Illinois is one of the leading states for abortions, and now Illinois is one of the 13 states allowing for people to kill themselves. I'm sorry, I think our mission statement is missing the boat about serving the people of this great state of ours in the right direction, not the wrong direction.
Absolutely. Illinois has a culture of death, and we see that in our absolute extremism on abortion to now our extremism on end-of-life care, and it's just a culture of death. You can't imagine. To me, it's just surreal how much death and the killing of the innocent unborn is celebrated, and it's gone from safe, legal, and rare to plentiful, unregulated, and celebrated.
It's a form of birth control now. I mean,
I was going to say it's considered one of their choices.
Come to Illinois and die is the new mission statement.
And if you are lucky enough to live, then we'll help you die. I mean, it's just incredible. Both ends of the spectrum.
Hey, Bill, tell everybody a little bit about your background. You are an active and practicing. I have never liked the term practicing. I don't want my doctor to be practicing. I want you to, but we'll use that. And
there's a reason they call it practice.
He's practiced.
I'm at the hospital right now.
Yeah.
I'm at the hospital right now in a quiet room, but. I'm a physician. I'm a emergency physician, board certified in emergency medicine, as well as I'm board certified in anesthesiology. So I have a very interesting career, and I had a great career, and I'm still working full time. I'm in specialties where you can also be a state representative, because during session and other times I move a lot of my work to weekends and overnight, and I can work 24/7. So it's not like I have an office and I can't go to session because I have a panel of patients. So I have a really nice specialty and a unique career, and I've been motivated really by COVID. I was motivated by the state's response, the authoritative response to COVID, and how they shut down, locked down, had mandates for vaccinations, how they used COVID to gain power and create dependence on the government. And that, to me, I looked at that as a physician, and I said, there's not one physician or medical person in the whole legislation of Illinois, the legislature of Illinois. So the General Assembly had no physicians, nurses, no one. And so I just felt compelled to run for office, and it was because of COVID. And now I'm able to address many healthcare issues. I'm on 6 healthcare-related committees, Medicaid working group, and so I feel like as the only physician in the General Assembly of Illinois, I have the opportunity, losing all the time on all the social issues and many times not being able to, do anything about the culture of Illinois, and like we said, the culture of death and the extreme liberal ideology that we see out there. So in that way, I feel very frustrated. But on the other hand, I feel like I can make an impact on the healthcare issues, which are extremely important to people, extremely important to Illinois, huge industry, obviously, in Illinois. And as the only physician in the Illinois legislature, I feel like I can make a small impact on those issues.
Yeah. Your credentials are impressive. You almost sound un-American with some of the things you're saying. No, I'm just kidding. Where are you from originally? Always from Morton?
Yeah, I'm from Morton, born and raised, and my district is a lot of Tazewell County. I have so many connections through Tazewell County, and then Logan County. I have all of Logan County. Lincoln, Illinois is in there. I have so many connections through Lincoln, Illinois. I have many family members, extended family members, cousins who are doctors, physicians, nurses, all through Tazewell and Logan County. So we have that healthcare connection all through my district, and so the Dr. Hauter name is known throughout the district. Not necessarily me, but other Dr. Hauters.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think I asked you a long time ago if you were related to Dean Hauter, who was a practicing physician in San Jose, Illinois, for many years.
Yep. And his son, Drew Hauter, is a good friend of mine and practicing physician in Lincoln, and his wife, Marcia Hauter, is a physician with him, and their son, Ben Hauter, is a physician in Petersburg and sometimes works in Lincoln.
Oh,
so we got lots of Dr. Hauters around.
A lot of Hauters around. Well, we're glad we certainly have Bill Hauter. Thank you for talking about a ill-advised passage of the physician-assisted suicide. Thanks, Bill, for joining us.
Always thank you for having me on.
You
Thanks,
bet.
Roger.
Have a great day. Dr. Bill Hauter. And were you neighbors of his, John, in Florida? How'd you know about his house being destroyed not once but twice by hurricanes?
Just casual conversation over dinner one night, I think. He's just a tremendous doctor
Sounds like
and
a neat
legislator.
guy.
And if we had 15 more of them, we'd only be in the minority in Illinois instead of the super minority.
Yeah.
And if we had 25 more of them, maybe we'd be in the majority. But
Yeah. We're in the tank, aren't we?
we are. It's
It's
horrible.
like spitting in the wind.
Sense is out the window.
Yeah.
It seems.
But
seems
God
that
bless
way.
guys like Travis Weaver and Bill Hauter that are willing to fight the good fight
Yeah, amen.
against all odds in Springfield and do the right thing.
All right, we're going to do the right thing and provide the final newscast of the morning. And we'll start with the news headlines brought to you this morning by Morton Community Banks, with over 50 branches offering a full range of personal and business banking services. Hometown banks, FDIC insured, so your deposits are safe. Look for the clock tower, and you know they have time for you, and we have time for Teri on the headlines. Teri?
A fire during the noon hour yesterday at a garage and duplex in the 7,000 block of North Charles Way, that's in the area of Holly Hill subdivision, caused $780,000 damage and minor injuries to a Peoria firefighter. Cause of the blaze has been deemed accidental. There is a report that the new chief financial officer for the Peoria School District is going to resign. Dr. Michael Curry was given a 3-year contract in February with an annual salary of $210,000. He previously was Chief School Business Officer for the Decatur School District. We heard from newly elected school board member Andy Diaz about that report and some other issues this morning.
We sure did.
Very, very interesting.
Wasn't he fascinating?
Yes, he
and
was.
Informative, to say the least.
We've been exclusively reporting that Illinois will become the 13th state to allow people to kill themselves beginning September 12th. Governor J.B. Pritzker signed the measure officially called physician-assisted suicide. The governor ignored objections from the Illinois State Medical Society. Among the objectors is Illinois State Representative Bill Hauter. Hauter is a practicing physician specializing in emergency medicine and anesthesiology who strongly believes the procedure is a violation of a physician's oath to first do no harm. And he just gave us a fascinating look into why they're against it, and he raised a lot of issues that need to be addressed, or should have been addressed before they passed
right.
this. The East Borough Council voted 4-0 to raise the salary for the city's mayor, who also serves as city administrator. Mayor John Call did not vote due to conflict of interest provisions. The new salary, $128,733, does not become effective until May of next year. He currently earns $104,735. Officials in Canton had a bomb scare this week and called for help from the Peoria Police Department. Peoria responded with a bomb squad, and the professionals neutralized what was described as an explosive device in a vehicle. Owner of the vehicle, 40-year-old Benjamin Lingenfelter of Farmington, was questioned by police, but no other details were provided. A search of Lingenfelter's home in Farmington produced no bomb-making materials, said authorities. Chillicothe police say a 4-month-long drug investigation has resulted in the arrest of 2 women. They've been identified as 47-year-old Catherine Ackley and 43-year-old Melissa Dowell. Police conducted a raid at a house in Chillicothe where they found all kinds of drugs and drug materials, along with a stun gun. In national news, President Trump is claiming the U.S. and Iran are close to reaching an agreement to end the war. Wall Street remains optimistic, with another record-breaking day for the Dow reaching 54,349. This marked the 3rd consecutive day of record closes for the Dow. And sadly, another shooting event in the country. 4 people were shot, 3 fatally, after a reported domestic family dispute in Prospect Hill, North Carolina. One of the dead is the gunman. And those are the headlines, Roger.
You know, you wonder, with the availability of Judge Judy and so many of the other TV judges, why there are so many domestic disputes. All they need to do is go on TV and have their day in court. Instead of they whip out a gun and start shooting their relative. I will never. They must have some big issues to want to kill somebody in your own family.
It's usually minor. You know, it just, you find out, you know, why'd you shoot him? He looked at me wrong, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously.
Or I saw what you posted on social media, you idiot.
It's amazing how much crazy there is out there, too.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Well, that's because we don't have mental facilities anymore.
That's exactly. We talked about that yesterday. Yeah,
we did.
Yeah,
we did.
That's what I was leading to. It's amazing.
Well, I'm leading into the weather, and I don't know who's going to give the weather, but it's presented by Matt Wall. Maybe Matt can give the weather. Certified public accountant and tax specialist with Gordon Stockman Wall. Matt's a graduate of Bradley University. Go Bradley. And, unfortunately, DePaul. You remember when Bradley used to play DePaul?
I do.
Yeah.
I remember when Bradley used to play Cincinnati.
And
remember
Louisville.
the overtime.
And Creighton. And Wichita State. And Canton Junior College. No, that never happened. Anyway, back to Matt.
They did scrimmage with the junior college over in Canton, and they got that's why they never went back. They got beat.
They got beat? Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Matt provides a broad range of accounting, auditing, management consulting, and income tax planning. He's available. You can reach Matt today at 309-692-4030. Now, with the weather, here's John Disharoon.
Partly cloudy this morning. Scattered fog and possible morning showers are going to grace us around the 9 o'clock hour, so you got 20 minutes to get out and walk your dog before the rain comes. Gradual clearing, becoming sunny, high about 81. Tonight, some clouds, low of 68. Tomorrow, partly sunny, high of 86. Showers tomorrow night, low of 70. Saturday, sunny, high of 86. Currently 71.293 degrees.
Ooh, boy. What's the
Down
humidity?
to
Yeah,
wire.
any humidity?
Humidity's also
Yeah.
72%.
There, is it that low? Really?
It is, yeah.
That's pretty
It was
good.
actually comfortable coming
or
in.
did you make that up?
Well, maybe. But I sounded
All right.
convincing.
Yeah.
you did.
What do you think, panel? Rand Paul, who has had a personal as well as a legislative feeling about Anthony. Do they call him Anthony or they call him Tony Fauci?
Most of it's Anthony.
Anthony Fauci.
I understand there are some other first names that have been assigned to him
Yes.
before.
Sure.
Yeah, you hear from some people, and it's usually the media. Why don't we just move on and leave the little fella alone?
Little
and he is-
fella, that's demeaning.
Yeah. Well, he is a little fella.
You don't have to get personal.
No, I could have said the midget, but I had some dignity to it. It's a little fella. And he, as Rand Paul and others have said, he suffers from the little fella syndrome. You know, that is
Napoleon
an
syndrome.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah. Why do you think he was writing in his diary? He was in love with himself, and he wanted to talk about how people were in love with him, like Julia Roberts and Barbara Streisand and Rosie O'Donnell and Rosie McAnally and whoever.
And Rosie the Riveter.
Yeah.
Rosie the Riveter.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think I want Rosie
what are
O'Donnell.
your thoughts, John and Dave and Terry, about
I think
the
the
hearings? They're going to have a hearing and vote on whether or not
think
he
they
should
already
be
did.
held in contempt.
I believe that the Senate committee passed it. I just got a notice in the Wall Street Journal.
And I think he was bypassing the committee, right? And going straight to the DOJ, from what I understand.
Bypassing the Senate. I think
Right.
the committee was
Yep.
going to report directly to
Yep.
the DOJ. But let me pull that up,
Yeah,
Roger.
yeah.
I believe that has already happened. So a GOP-led Senate committee voted to hold Anthony Fauci in contempt for refusing to answer questions about his handling of the COVID pandemic. So the committee is going to report it directly to the Department of Justice, and it's going to bypass.
For a referral.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
it gets filibustered. And
In the Senate, and I think it would have taken 60 votes.
And the Democrats love death,
yeah.
and so they're
Yeah.
not going to do anything. I mean, it was amazing. If you saw any of the hearing, and even if you saw the highlights, this has become such a partisan issue that all the Democrats on that panel could do during the hearing was support Fauci and support Biden, and they wouldn't even listen to the facts. They wouldn't even listen to the questions. It was just we're here to support the doctor, even as
Yeah.
ridiculous as some of the statements were that they made. It's
And I
shameful.
think that one of the things I've talked about in one of the hearings I saw it is the the allegation of fear-mongering that occurred between the states. Because if you think about that, once we settled in, there were states bordering us that were wide open too. And
Yes.
somehow it shows once again, the stranglehold that his edicts had on our state.
Yeah. It is amazing that you still see it. And in a way I understand it, in a way I don't. People wearing masks. I was in a grocery store this week, and there was a guy who had a big mask on his face. And I thought, well, maybe he has something that he doesn't want to give somebody else. And on the other hand, I've seen people in cars, not lately, but long after COVID-19 passed, who were wearing masks, both the husband and wife, in their vehicles. I don't quite. What was
I
that?
will echo
all
on
about?
that. The craziest thing I saw was towards the end of my career when we were just coming out of this. I'm at one of our high school games, and basketball players have to wear masks. They're running down the court with a mask on their chins.
Yeah.
They got masks on.
Yeah.
And to me,
Yeah.
that just
That
drove
was
home
ludicrous.
the ludicrous, exactly. I remember looking at myself, what on earth is this? In the game, the masks, they come out, nobody had them. Half the people, they were all on. They were just down to here.
Yeah,
Nobody,
so what good?
it was
no
just,
good
but
at all.
again, that goes to the point here that what we were captured for about 2 or 3 years by this unbelievable groundless edict that, hey, it's dangerous, we got to do this, we got to do that because I said so. And that's, I think, the issue with Fauci. Again, looking back on it, what did you know? What did you hold back? And what really was the issue?
Yeah.
And I think that they'll get to the bottom of that.
I knew someone who has since passed away, I'm sorry, just a minute, who had respiratory problems.
Yeah.
and he couldn't wear a mask. And to go into the grocery store, if you didn't wear a mask, you had people, I didn't experience it, but saw it on television, that people would get mad at you and yell at you.
You weren't
if
even
you
allowed
didn't
in some
have a
stores,
mask.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in some cases. Go ahead, Terry.
Well, I was just going to say that you see people even now, and I know some people have, they say, an immune compromised system, and so that's why they're wearing them. But yet, remember, Dr. Sidler showed us pictures of people wearing the mask, and then you could see like the smoke.
Yeah.
They use smoke as an example, and you could see it coming around the edge of the mask, through the mask.
Yep.
And he said, if they're pointless, because if it's not doing anything to block anything going out or coming in.
No, I think back, and to me, one of the strangest things, when it was the last year of my career, and our school district, as you know, was shut down for a year and a half,
Yes.
3 semesters. Wandering around one day, it was completely empty. I'm like, what on earth are we doing?
What are we doing?
And districts around us, literally, I could go 5 miles up the road, and they were school session.
Yeah, Dunlap was open. And
Yeah,
I
they were
remember
open.
Karen was on the board at the time, and I remember one irate parent called her and said, the blood is on your hands.
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it's
there's
just-
some people that went bonkos,
Oh, they
over
did.
the mask.
It tore a family. I mean, there were families who
They
had
were
talked to each other, and it became, what I think it also did, as we talked earlier too, it accelerated the divide between our two parties. I think it really did. It was already in play, but now that's one legacy, shall we say. that
Nothing
we
like a
have.
virus to split the Republicans and the
Exactly.
Democrats.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And we had plenty of that, didn't we?
But one thing I noticed, Roger, when we came up from Florida this spring is the number of people, and still almost every day I see somebody driving in a car with their mask on.
And they're all by themselves.
They are, and it's you can't go to Kroger, you can't go to Menards. I mean, everywhere I go, somebody's
You
still
see
got
somebody wearing a
there was
mask.
there was a cashier at Menards last night that had a mask on, and I'm buying a couple of cedar boards, and I was like, should I use this lane or not? I mean, has she got something? Because that's not going to prevent
Nope.
me from getting anything.
The amount, going back to our earlier discussion of education, so I can speak as that, we are still the learning loss across the statistical learning loss. And I remember seeing something right when I retired. They said it'll be 5 to 7 years. Well, here we are, 5 years later, 4 years later.
We're still
and
playing
it's still,
catch up.
I don't know, there's a whole, not to be dramatic, but a generation of kids that won't recover, that learning loss. You're thinking about some of them. I remember a case of somebody in kindergarten. By the time schools opened again, they were in 3rd grade. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Because they had not been in school
Yeah.
for 2 or 3 semesters, so almost 2 years.
And I think this is going to be the final year for college kids to claim their COVID year. So we got 26-year-olds playing baseball in college because they redshirted, played 4 years, had a COVID year. I mean, it's crazy that we're still feeling the impacts of this.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I know, I think it was last Saturday, I was in downtown Peoria, and I ran into a guy with a mask on, and he said, stick 'em up. So, that's part of the other culture that we're doing.
That's true.
That wasn't funny, Rod.
No, it wasn't.
We're with you, Rod.
Neither is the
We got you.
Yeah, thanks for the backup. I don't need help from anybody else.
Help from the panel is on its way.
Oh, there it was. No. Here's our pet tip of the day.
Today's Pet Tip is brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Pet lovers are dedicated to their animals, all species from horses to turtles and of course cats and dogs. If you are a pet lover, learn these little known, somewhat amazing facts about your pet. Greyhounds are well known for their tremendous racing speed. They are also very popular pets. Ask almost anyone who has adopted a retired greyhound and they will tell you that all the dog really wants to do is relax now and be loved. Greyhounds are gentle, affectionate, and fairly laid-back dogs that make excellent house pets. Some may still have the desire to chase small critters, but not all do, and the foster parent will be helpful in pointing out the more laid-back dogs. Most get along very well well with children because of their tolerant and friendly nature. Because they are being adopted as adults, most will walk away from a child rather than growl or snap if they are bothered. No corn, wheat, or wheat flour in it. Also, a dog's food containing meat byproducts should be avoided, as these byproducts are ground-up remains of animals like beaks and feet. Like other dogs, they should not have table scraps either. After years of racing, they just want to be with you, laying at your feet or on your lap. They are a very clean dog, and their short, tight coat doesn't require brushing or haircuts or frequent bathing. This can be a plus for a very busy family. They make good babysitters, too. They like to watch the little ones and be near them constantly. So the next time you think about adopting a rescued animal, please look into a greyhound. They might just suit your busy lifestyle the best. This whisker of information has been made possible by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting in partnership with Spot, Saving Pets One at a Time, and KSBR Studios. Produced by Joseph C. McGuire and theme music by Stuardo Glasser.
Today's Pet Tip has been brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Well, I grew up, I thought Greyhound was a bus. Wasn't that a bus company?
It was a bus company,
yeah. Greyhound?
Was also a very fast dog.
Yes, it was a very fast dog.
Greyhound tracks.
Yeah. Is that what, yeah, I remember going to Florida and they had dog races. They don't have them anymore. Were they Greyhounds?
They were.
Yeah.
Up in Arlington?
And they used to have, what, a mechanical rabbit running in front of them to get them to race after it?
Sometimes a live one in Florida.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
They had a
Is that
live
a rabbit that's good at fixing things, a mechanical rabbit?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
It was other known as a surgeon.
You, two of you have reminded me, well, not three of you, that this was an important day in American military history. Share with our audience. I didn't know that. Didn't know of that this was the same day that what happened.
What goes boom over Hiroshima?
Hiroshima.
The
dropping of the first atomic bomb.
Yeah, the
All
bomb
over
that
3
changed
days
the
later,
world.
yeah.
And you know, to this day, it's pretty amazing. That was 1945. It was August 6th, and then August 9th. Since that time, not another nuclear bomb has been utilized.
Well, there was a second one.
Well, right, but that.
Yeah, on
But
the
since
9th.
1945.
We're the
Over
only
the-
two
well,
bombs.
pardon
that-
me.
I mean,
Nagasaki.
what a deterrent. But the and all the I call them liberal lawmakers overseas are like, the United States is the only country that has ever exercised it. Well, that's right.
But it's a
But
deterrent.
it certainly ended the
And,
war.
and ironically, it made the world safer the past 50 to 60 years. Think about that. Think of all the conflicts that had it not been used. I'm not defending, but of course, had it not been used, the Cold War, how close we came in the Cuban Missile Crisis, how close we came in the 50s, you know.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
if some of these
Yeah.
irate nations had the ability
Right.
that we're trying to prevent them from having,
Yeah.
you know, they flip off a trigger
Yeah,
on, boundaries.
yeah, yeah.
Imagine what they'd do if they actually had a
Yeah.
bomb.
And that's been a debate. I remember when I was teaching, that was one of my, AP classes, have the pros and cons. Students would always write essays on, my challenge was, if you were to decide, what would you have done? And it's ironically thoughtful. Again, this is kids from 20 years ago. I think some of our kids today might be a little different. But anyway, the majority of them said that it was the right decision. And they carefully ironed out their rationale for that. I'm just curious what that same question would be now.
So interesting. You remember a classmate of ours, the most Reverend Tom Willitson?
Yes.
Who's
Tom very
What
well.
was the name?
Thomas Willitson. He's a pastor in the Presbyterian clique. He wrote an essay to the Chicago Tribune and the Peoria Journal-Star back in the probably mid-'90s about how the bomb was not necessary because the war was already over, blah, blah, blah. And that's when they had letters to the editor and people could respond in the paper. And it was at the time, the most responded to letter to the editor in the history of the Peoria Journal-Star, all
You're
these
kidding,
veterans
really?
saying, hey, youngster,
Yeah,
I was there.
you were there, yeah.
Go check your facts.
Yeah.
And he was, I mean, when you preach the faith, that you try to be humanistic about it, but he a very smart guy, and he just felt obligated to write that, and boy, did he get torn apart.
Do you remember the
well,
estimate?
you shouldn't be.
The estimate that they were preparing for an invasion. Remember, a month or two before, and they estimated that it would be hundreds of thousands of American servicemen would lost their lives. Because the next
250,000.
the next stage was an invasion of Japan.
Japan.
There's no other way to do it. You had to almost like. Could you imagine what D-Day would be? A Pacific D-Day is kind of what it would have been, and.
And the Japanese don't quit.
They don't quit.
No, they
Exactly.
had a totally different mindset than what
Yep.
we were used to.
Yep.
That's the kamikaze pilots in that. And
Yeah.
it was hard for our people to understand that mentality. And thank goodness Truman did, because you're right, he said
Yeah.
they're never
The buck
going to
stops
stop
here.
until
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
show them what we mean.
And there's a parallel. We'll never get things settled with Iran without changing the government, the people who are making the decisions. So all I think the president is doing, although he's trying to avoid an out-and-out bombing, massive bombing, and so forth, is maybe kicking the can down the road a little bit, because if you still have the bad guys still in power, how are you going to trust them? For the first 7 years, they've said death to America and death to Israel.
So Dave Poles and I were sitting in Peoria High School in 1980, and people were wearing T-shirts with Mickey Mouse giving the finger, saying, "Hey, Iran." There was a song, "Bomb, bomb, 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 bomb."
Yeah, I remember.
Iran.
Yes.
Bomb,
yes.
bomb, 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 Iran. Bomb, Iran. And no president, Reagan, bless his heart, Bush, bless his heart, nobody did anything until Trump.
Yeah.
They just kept pacifying them,
Kicking
and it
it
just
down the
kept
road.
getting worse and worse and worse. So if nothing
Yeah.
else, give him credit for trying to get
Yeah.
something fixed.
No, you're exactly right.
45 years
it-
ago,
I know.
Dave.
The Shah of Iran,
It
1979.
will be
right?
interesting to see what, and I also wish the president would stop, even though, thank you for supporting the president, and even though I support what he's done in less than a year, as a matter of fact, I wish he'd quit saying we're close to a deal. He's been saying that off and on for over a month now. Don't tell us how close we are. Get the job done, and if you can't do it by diplomacy, bomb the crap out
To your
of them.
point, he keeps talking about negotiating deal. I'm not so sure, to John's point, I don't know if there can be a deal and negotiate. You just got to do what you got to do.
Because they're going to lie. They're going to tell you what we want to hear.
And again, regime change is simply what we're advocating. I
You've
mean,
got to get rid of them,
Yep.
and yet they're a regime that will hide behind children's hospitals and their wives and children. There's no reasoning with them. That they just don't have
we
it.
really don't know who's in charge, right? The
Yeah, he's in
the
hiding.
team leader, he's supposedly incapacitated, is what somebody said.
They
I know
don't
what that
even know
means.
who's in charge.
Exactly.
I used to work with a guy from Iran, and he's like, you just don't know what it's like until you're there. And I'm like, well, go back. Why are you here?
Yeah.
If it's that good, go back.
Yeah. Amen to
Well,
that.
I can't have a career there. I have to be here. I have to advocate for my people here. And I'm like, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
Well, with all this conversation, I can't think of a better song to end with than Love is in the Air.
Oh, there we go.
There's Love in the Air.
Love is in the air. Everywhere I look around.
John Disharoon, thank you for coming in. And
Love is in the air.
for Dr. James Henry.
Every sight and every sound.
Happy to be here.
And Dave, thank you for coming in.
And I
as well.
don't know if I'll be
I came for a donut.
Well, we got one of the donuts this morning.
Just Donuts, LLC, can't know it all.
That's kind of place, isn't it?
and it's there when I look around.
Have a great day, everybody. Remember, God loves you.
In the whisper of the tree.
Son, you're on your own.
Love is in the air. In the thunder of the sea. And I don't know if I'm just dreaming. Don't know if I feel safe. But it's something that I must believe in. And it's there when you call out my name. Love is in the air, in the rising of the sun. Love is in the air, when the day